Welcome to another episode of Wrestling with WorldWide Willis. This podcast is brought to you by the League of Melanated Gentlemen Podcast Network. And today, this is a special episode. I got my guys with me. I got Spenser, regular guest. You guys know him. Spenser, you want to say hi?
Hello. Happy to be here.
And then I got my guy with me, my dog, Roy. What up, man?
Hey, let me talk to you. How are we doing today?
Let me talk to you. I like it. So yeah, I got my dogs with me today. This is gonna be a fun one. Kind of break some stuff down. Quickly, you know how this goes though. We're gonna do matches of the week. First, we have an AEW. We have FTR. This is a tag team championship match. FTR versus MJF and Adam Cole. If you heard the podcast before, you know I'm in love with MJF Adam Cole dynamic right now. So the match was really fun, but also it was like even when the whole time you were worried about the match, but you were also worried like, oh snap, when is MJF gonna turn on Adam Cole? Like when is it, like that's inevitable, and it didn't happen. So that was a kind of smart thing on them because they knew the crowd was like on edge about it. FTR ended up winning, but due to MJF kind of sacrificing himself and saving Adam Cole from taking like I think they call it the Smash Machine, whatever they call their finisher. And it was just a cool story. So it was great. It was on Collision yesterday night, so that was fun. Next one, we have NXT. It wasn't a championship match, but Rhea Ripley is obviously the women's world champion on the main roster. But cool thing is they've been coming down to NXT to kind of, give a little rub to the younger people. And Lyra Valkyria is the person she wrestled this past Tuesday. It was a really fun match. I wasn't a huge Lyra Valkyria fan before, but after this match, I was like, okay, cool, I get it now. You know what I mean? She held her own. Rhea smashed her at the end, but hey, she smashed everybody, so it makes sense. But yeah, those are quickly our matches of the week. And yeah, hit us up if y'all have any matches of the week that you saw that you liked and all this other stuff. So, but next we will get into the real stuff. So Roy, we've kind of Spenser's already, been a guest. He's given us his background with wrestling and what he, what got him into it, when he started, who's his favorites. Roy, I need you to break down your background with pro wrestling.
My background is pretty kind of just like everyone else's. I got into it randomly, just watching TV, flipped the channels, turned to it, and I saw the two dudes just beating up on each other. And I'm like, this is something I can get behind. I like this.
Mm-hmm.
Mom was not a big fan of the program because this was back when there was just a lot of blood.
Yeah.
Cutting the foreheads, just bleeding everywhere. And my mom was like, we're not watching this in the house. So me being the rebellious kid I was, started mowing lawns to afford a TV from a pawn shop. And
wow.
I had a TV that I put outside our house that I would watch wrestling on. And I think it was Thursday. I can't remember when it used to be on. I only watched SmackDown until literally like 2015 because that's all I can get on like the little free cable channels.
Got you. Yeah.
And then the first game I ever played was, I think it's SmackDown versus Raw 2006.
Okay. That's a good choice.
From then on until about 2000, maybe 2015, I was every week.
Yeah.
And then from honestly then until now, I've been kind of keeping up with the news, not really watching it, kind of keeping up to date, but still very involved in what's going on with it.
Gotcha. Okay. Who's some of your favorites coming up?
Growing up, I was definitely a very just classic John Cena fan, Randy Orton fan. Batista was my guy. Batista might be like my personal top 5 all time.
Right.
All because of the time period. But I was also just Big Show, Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, kind of everyone that was big in 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
Those were my guys.
So to be honest, I didn't know the Big Show had fans.
I mean, yeah, it kind of makes it.
What's actually kind of what makes it full circle is I loved Big Show because I was always like I grew really fast as a kid. Like I was the tallest kid that I knew. I was also the biggest kid that I knew. So I was always like, oh, I'm like the Big Show of my friends. Flash forward to, college time, I joined a fraternity and one of our like fraternity brothers, hey, Big Show, what do you know?
Oh, that's right. You did tell me that. That's crazy. Didn't he write y'all or something?
Well, he was in a completely different school. So
gotcha.
it was one of those, like, he wrote it to the entire organization, which
is okay.
I mean, the largest fraternity because they throw out to schools like SWASU and Northwestern. So, small schools. So everybody's got them. So nothing super special. But I'm like, yeah, you know what? This makes sense. Way to bring it full circle.
That's dope. So more ruthless aggression era, just because of the time you grew up, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. All right. But yeah, just so folks know, Spenser and Roy are kind of my go-to. Like, I send them new stuff that's happening now, but they're pretty tapped in. Like I said, even with Spenser, like they be surprising me with like how tapped in they are on like recent stuff. And every time they say something that I didn't expect them to know, like it makes me happy. So, but yeah, all right. So now we will get into our bracket. This is going to be interesting. I think we're going to have a lot of discussions, a lot of debate. This is our best in-ring bracket, like best wrestlers in the ring, not necessarily in the mic, none of that stuff, just like performing technically in the ring. Best of all time bracket. So yeah, it should be a good time. First matchup, first round, we have, and I will say before we start, I didn't like go through this and like seed it. Like I didn't go like, oh, he should be here, he should be here. I just kind of went with the best people I thought of, and it kind of laid out how it laid out. So
I was wondering how you set that up.
Yeah, like some people are gonna get screwed in the like every tournament, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna get screwed based on the seeding they were in. But hey, if you're a real one, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But basically a conduit of that, our first round matchup is Shawn Michaels versus Triple H. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Spenser, you want to give your thoughts first?
So whenever I'm thinking about what happens in the ring, I think that there are three components to in-ring performance. There's like actual wrestling, move execution, move set, like those types of things, like the things that you see very directly from offense.
Gotcha.
There's your ability to sell, your ability to make the other guy look good, your ability to make the situation look realistic. And what are you doing for, like, the first category is what are you doing for yourself? The second category is what are you doing for the other guy? And are you making the match overall great? The third thing is miscellaneous, which usually is going to be set up for a babyface and distractions for a heel. So like all of the stuff that makes professional wrestling what it is, but isn't actually wrestling. So you getting the crowd hyped up for what's to come, you setting up certain moves, you sizing a guy up, or all of that. Or what you do while the referee is distracted, or what you're able to take advantage of while the match is happening. So there are three big pieces of in-ring performance that I'm looking at when evaluating these people.
Gotcha.
So I don't know about y'all, but that's just me.
No, definitely. That's a good way to break it down.
That is everything that my brain said, but I couldn't find the words to say when I was thinking about this. I'm like, what makes a good match or like a good performer in the in-ring?
Right.
That's exactly what you said.
And so with Triple H and Shawn Michaels, what a matchup, right? There are a lot of people that regard Shawn Michaels as like the GOAT, and I was surprised to hear that. Shawn Michaels to me feels more like a Steph Curry than a Michael Jordan or LeBron James. And that's not to take anything away from Steph Curry, because
right, I get you.
Steph Curry is the GOAT in certain categories, but not the GOAT.
Right.
And so I kind of feel the same way about Shawn Michaels. Like there's a lot of things that Shawn Michaels is very, very good at, but I don't know that I could call him just the overall best. Triple H is kind of the epitome of what I knew wrestling to be growing up. He was, just wide and huge and strong, and I love Triple H's move set.
Same.
Like
one of my favorites.
Like the pedigree isn't necessarily my favorite move, but like all the stuff Triple H does on the ground, like I really like.
He has the greatest setup though. That spine buster is the creme de la creme. It is so
it really
good.
is.
That pickup and just the way he like throws him, like just turns the body and slams. Oh man, it is what I do in a pool every time.
It's
like
it's
I
one
love
of the better ones.
Triple H's utilization of his knees.
Oh, the high knee throw against the rope, the high knee.
Yeah, love it.
Beautiful.
And so but honestly, I think that in category A, like moves to moves, I think that Triple H probably wins there, because honestly, when I think of Triple H, there are several moves that I think of that are specific to Triple H. With Shawn Michaels, that's not really the case.
Right.
There are some that are very specific to him, but like he doesn't have like just a catalog of moves that come to mind. Like when I think of Shawn Michaels, I think of the sweet chin music, and I think of like the elbow drop. But
I was gonna say,
that's it as far as stuff that other people aren't really doing.
Right.
As far as making the other guy look good, though, Shawn Michaels does that very well.
He does. Definitely does.
Shawn Michaels throws his body around unlike others. And the way that he does it, there are a lot of people that are not like able to do that effectively without like hurting themselves. So Shawn Michaels does very well in that category. In the third category, the setup for the sweet chin music is it's something special.
Oh,
yeah, it really is.
Tuning the band.
Yeah. And it's and Triple H is good in that category too, but Shawn Michaels, the way that's top tier, like as far
really
as getting the crowd to get in there with you and all that. It's really good. So as much as I love Triple H's move set, I think I gotta go Shawn Michaels.
Oh, okay. I'll leave my input last. Roy, what you think?
Oh, I think I know where you're going, because I heard an episode where you had some feelings about Shawn Michaels.
A little bit, just a little bit.
And so I kind of knew how you were leaning from the beginning.
Roy, what you got?
I just want it to be known that I am an avid Shawn Michael hater.
Okay.
I think he is one of the most overrated guys out there.
Wow.
I respect the hell out of him. I think he's good. I don't think he's as good as everyone makes him out to be. With that being said, I do give Shawn Michaels the edge in this one. For the reason that Spencer stated, I have never seen a guy, aside from Dolph Ziggler, sell moves as great as Shawn Michaels does.
Okay.
And the setup to the sweet chin music, again, is just one of the most beautiful things I have ever seen. I remember being just so frustrated watching this show, and they're just stomping, everyone's yelling, and he kicks it, and I'm just yelling, like, how do they not know he's getting kicked? Like, everyone's screaming, what's going on? Like, are these guys stupid in the ring? As a kid, not knowing it's, set up. The whole time was like, everyone is yelling, they're screaming, how do you not know what's happening? I would get so mad.
And Shawn, he's stomping.
Stomping. And he's
vibrations.
Like he's literally stomping. Like, how did you not?
Like, he was just beating up on you, and now you're not getting touched. Something's happening.
Right.
They stand up, turn around, boom, it's over.
And Shawn Michaels had the best utilization of the pop-up.
Oh yeah. His pop-up was nice.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, there are a lot of people doing it, but Shawn Michaels' timing with it and Shawn Michaels' execution of it was like flawless in most cases.
and he did it. He was the first guy that did it to where I had no nervousness if he was going to actually hit it or not. You know, there's some dudes like they do it.
They hit it
like,
there.
yeah, it's a little wobbly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he was the first guy. I was like, oh yeah, he hitting that thing. And he always
sticks it
you
every
mentioned
time.
exactly, and he does it like when the crowd is like hot. Like he's knocked a few down. He's done his clothesline 3 times, knocked 3 dudes down, and then he hits it. You're like, oh, okay. All right.
Hasn't he also done it like from his shoulders too? Like he didn't use his hands to propel him.
Yeah, like
he would just flip up.
He didn't put his hands back.
Yeah,
because whenever I've seen like bigger dudes do it, they have to like their hands off to kind of. But yeah, no, he just
yeah. All right, guys. I'll let it slide. But
it hurt. I love Triple H.
Triple H. I don't want to say it's not disrespect because I mean we all love Triple H here. But first of all, in the first category we talked about technical, as we talked about, there's just known moves, right? Like to me, Triple H has one of the best wrestling punches I've seen. You know what I mean? Like usually, like he hits you right at the top of your forehead, like you know what I mean, where it looks good every time he throws a punch. As far as making guys look good, he literally let The Rock and Stone Cold beat his ass and made them look amazing. You know what I'm saying? And obviously he didn't do it in the way Shawn Michaels did. Shawn Michaels was more like dramatic, but like if you go and
what
watch,
Triple H did was long term, as opposed to like what Shawn Michaels did was very match to match. But Triple H, he did it over a stretch of time. Because
like whenever like Stone Cold, like let's say they're having to do a promo, Triple H is doing a promo, Stone Cold runs in, Stone Cold started just hitting him like with 8 straight punches, like you know what I mean. He making him look very good, you know, and obviously in their matches, and then heel wise, he did a great job of like selling the distraction. Oh, okay, Stephanie's hopped up on the ropes. Let me slide this little what do you use the hand? No, he used a hammer. Sledgehammer. Yeah,
I love Triple H with a sledgehammer.
Oh my god! And he hit it perfectly, right? He didn't do all this like, "Oh, I'm hit you in your stomach." No, he hit you at the top of your dome, and it looked good. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I struggle with this, guys. But I mean, hey, in this,
I would like
3 people.
Yeah, like I'd like to go on record. I'm not trying to take anything away from Triple H.
Right.
I don't want anybody to be under the impression that I have negative things to say about Triple H in my selection of Shawn Michaels here. Triple H is great, and this was not an easy matchup. But
I think Triple H in any other matchup, I think he takes it.
Not the other.
Well, maybe not any other, but
yeah.
Finisher maybe, but then outside of that, to me, HBK is winning. I mean, Triple H is winning.
The thing with Triple H too, though, is like you take just in-ring performance like we're doing, and that takes away half of Triple H. Like you put in the whole wrestler, I mean Triple H is just running away with it. But Shawn Michaels just setting up, and just the storytelling in the ring is just so nice.
Okay, 2-1 vote. So that means we're going to the majority here. We're democracy here, or at least on this episode. And we will move.
I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah, no, just to make it clarification so we know moving forward. But
because I feel like next time somebody comes for Orange Cassidy, it's about to be judgment.
Yeah, exactly. Episode going to be 12 minutes long if somebody comes for Orange Cassidy. Okay, so HBK moves on. Defeats Triple H. Hard to cross
that one.
All right, our next matchup is Kurt Angle versus Bret Hart. I feel like this is gonna be so disrespectful.
I'm gonna let you start.
Yeah.
Again, want to be known on record. Actually, it's not even the same as Shawn Michaels. I can't stand Bret Hart. I think he is my number one overrated. Like I never saw anything that I was like, oh, this is my favorite wrestler. Like he has the sharpshooter, and that was it. Like I remember his moveset being garbage, his entrance was garbage, like his outfit was just not good. I don't think I've ever played as Bret Hart in any of the games, and I don't ever want to. As opposed to Kurt Angle, who is, I mean, the dude won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck. What more do you need to say?
How many times did they say that back in the day?
I do wonder if it was difficult for Kurt Angle to not accidentally say broken fucking neck.
Yeah. You know he did. You know in the back they did.
Oh yeah.
I think
Yeah.
early on, maybe, but I mean, I think he did it so much because I watched an Instagram video the other day of him with his wife, and he said it. He's like, "I won this with the golden or with a broken freaking neck," and I think it's a slogan now at this point, and I love it.
Nah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'll let Spencer go last. I mean, I think this is going to be pretty clear. I mean, Kurt Angle is one of the greatest to ever, one of the greatest talents to ever touch a ring. Bret Hart is. I feel like, I don't know. He benefited from the time period, right? If you hit a solid suplex, they was like, ooh, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Whereas his, in today's, if Bret Hart was out here today, they'd be like, ugh, he kind of stiff, you know what I mean? He can't do half the stuff any of these other guys can do. And I mean, yeah, this is clear for me. What do you think, Spencer?
Yeah, we could have skipped this one. We're talking about maybe like in category A, maybe the GOAT. Maybe.
Yeah. Right.
Versus a guy who I don't even want to waste time discussing. I'm sure that there are some old heads that have feelings about that.
Oh yeah.
But
it is what it is, man.
I feel Bret Hart to me is like,
I know this ought to be wild.
I was waiting for it.
The way you set that up, this is ought to be wild.
Spencer's tuning the band.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Bret Hart to me is like Kevin McHale on the 80s Celtics.
Jeez.
Like, he was there, he got the job done, but if you want to, like, there's always been somebody better at any point when he was there or involved. Like, the fact that he and Shawn Michaels were from the same time period, like, I don't know how Bret Hart got anything done. And that was Shawn Michaels with the mullet.
Yeah.
Like, that was a spry Shawn Michaels. And Bret Hart, he's one of the people that is just woefully unimpressive.
No, I agree.
And you're right, he benefits from the time period because even if he had been like 5 years later, he would have been mid-card, maybe.
Right.
Like, or he wouldn't have made it. They would have been like, you can go.
Fact, like, I mean, he obviously got hurt in WCW, so he wasn't able to stay super long. But like WCW at the time, that was when the cruiserweights were putting on 5-star match. That's when you had Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Ray. So it's like, then you watch a Bret Hart match, you're like, oh hell no! Like this is the hell. This is like watching Bob Cousy dribble. You know what I mean? Like this is garbage. You know what I'm
like it's just he benefited from the time period, and that's not even like I struggle saying that because he wasn't even great for the time period.
That's gonna say is I remember watching a lot of his like highlights, and even like with the scope of the time frame, I'm like, nothing he does stands out other than the crowd loves him.
Yeah, it's tough because it's like he benefited from a time period where when he started, it was like the kind of the midway to almost the end of like the Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, big guys who can't wrestle, but they're kind of the star attraction. But then also you think like, okay, they had Steamboat, they had Mr. Perfect, they had Macho Man, they had like dudes who could go, you know what I mean? Actually wrestle.
And that's the thing, like Bret Hart didn't do anything very well. Like even like taking the ring outside of this, like there are some people who are popular because of their mic work. There are some people who are popular because of their look. There are some people who are popular just based on the moves that they do or the people that they have with it. Like there are a lot of things that can lead people to be popular, and I don't get it with Bret Hart.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like his brother was better than me. Owen Hart.
Yeah, I like Owen.
I like Owen.
Yeah.
Owen was way better, way more athletic, way more just 10 times more charisma. Like even in the ring, like even just performing.
And maybe that's how he got anything.
I mean, he did have the lineage, the Hart Foundation. I mean, the Harts and the Stampede Wrestling in Canada and all that stuff. So he definitely had. But I mean, I see why if I'm Vince McMahon, I'm a little hesitant to pull the trigger on this guy. I just don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like
I don't
he's
see
one
it.
of the people that like you bring in for name recognition alone.
Yeah, that's basically
But
what WCW did.
yeah, but you don't bring him in for any other reason. So with all of that, it wouldn't have really mattered who Bret Hart was up against. His chances weren't great, but being up against Kurt Angle is a
Yeah.
bloodbath.
It's
Yeah, it
just
really is.
unfair. Yep.
No, I agree. Yeah, that was pretty clear, guys.
Like that's
Kurt
a
Angle
waste of
moved
Kurt
on.
Angle's time.
Yeah, it really is. All right, next one. This will be interesting because there's some time difference here. Chris Jericho against Bryan Danielson, aka Daniel Bryan, for those in his WWE days. I can go first on this one just because I know a little more about Bryan Danielson. This was tough for me just because obviously Chris Jericho is known for being the character guy, right? The guy who can put on any character, any new version of himself and be successful, somehow find a way to get over. But then also Chris Jericho is amazing in the ring. And like has had plenty of classic matches from WCW to WWE, even if in his older days when he was going against AJ Styles and all these, younger guys. So I have a special place in my heart for Chris Jericho. Like the Walls of Jericho is one of my favorites. I just love, especially like, just came in like into WCW, Chris Jericho, and then like when he first hit WWE, that was amazing. Bryan Danielson is one of my favorite. Also, I would say one of my favorites. I really like Bryan Danielson. I think he kind of ushered in a new wave of wrestlers as far as like, during that time it was like John Cena, no disrespect, but at that time it was like dudes like him, you know what I'm saying, who were running things. And then Daniel Bryan comes out of nowhere, gets over with the crowd due to his character work also, but like people knew him as the dude who can wrestle with anybody. You know what I mean? He reminded us of a day when, early 2000s where it was just dudes who were technical wrestlers, but also really got to do it at a high level. They didn't get punished for being technical wrestlers. And so Bryan Danielson, it's tough for me. I'm probably going to lean more Chris Jericho just because I just think the stuff he did in the ring was amazing. And he wasn't a little guy. So like the stuff he was doing was crazy kind of when you think about how big he was. But I can see both ways. I can kind of see both sides.
It's so funny because I feel like Daniel Bryanson should have been a cruiserweight.
Yeah.
Like he's small enough to be a cruiserweight, but I don't know if he doesn't have the athleticism required to do what a lot of the cruiserweights do. I'll say that.
Yeah, especially that period and today's period, I guess. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So he was like, he should have been bigger than he was. Like the way he wrestled like he was larger.
Yeah.
But not that that's necessarily an issue, but against Chris Jericho, it is because Chris Jericho was bigger than him and could do a lot more, I feel like.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
I love Chris Jericho. And I mean, this one was pretty easy for me.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to take anything away from, I know him as Daniel Bryan.
Right.
And I don't want to take anything away from Daniel Bryan, but Chris Jericho's too much for him. In other matchups, there may have been more discussion, but not with Chris Jericho.
Yeah. What do you think, Bruce?
This one I went back and forth a lot on because it's hard to say what Bryan Danielson does wasn't great.
Right.
In his like reign in the WWE, this was when I was the biggest John Cena fan. So I wanted to hate him. I wanted to hate him so bad.
Right.
Like, there's something about him I couldn't because I was like, he's so good.
Yeah.
But it's Chris Jericho.
Right. Yeah.
And the thing about Chris Jericho hasn't slowed down
at all.
Like he's been doing this like Y2J.
Yeah.
Well before that.
Exactly. Like early 90s.
Yeah, like he's been doing this for a solid 30 years.
Yeah.
And he hasn't slowed down.
He's still going. Yeah. What's crazy too is like his moveset doesn't really bode well for longevity, you would imagine. Like he's doing the lion salt. He's jumping off the middle rope, doing a backflip.
Right.
Yeah.
but he's still doing it and he's still hitting it, and it still looks so good.
It really does. And like in AEW now, like if there's some new guy that's like the hot guy, they put him up against Chris Jericho to kind of like test him, basically.
Heat check.
Yeah, let's just say like, all right, you did a good job. All right, let's put you against the vet and see if he approves of you. Okay, you're good to go. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy, but no, you're right. Like he definitely had a more versatile game than Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan's flying knee was one of the best I've seen. Like
That's true.
When he hits you, it was like, ooh, that looked, you know what I'm saying? That looked, and he ran like he was one of the first wrestlers I saw like run full speed.
Yeah,
like
sprinting.
Full out sprint, no hold back. I'm hitting you as hard as I can. You know what I mean? Which I love. The little like MMA style kicks that got over, but they actually like hurt. You know what I mean? He was really connecting. That was really cool to see. So Daniel Bryan, yeah, he's up there. I agree. Like a different matchup, he might squeak through. Roy, did you say you're going Chris Jericho also?
I am, yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. But yeah, Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, he even came back. You know, Bryan Danielson was his like real name. Got it changed in WWE, then he got it changed back to Bryan Danielson. And he's had some great matches in AEW. He just always gets hurt. That's his biggest downfall. He just gets injured a lot. But yeah, hopefully he'll come back and put on some more matches before he retires. And he has a lot of, concussion issues.
He is winning at life though with his wife.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's doing fine.
Yeah, my man is all right. Okay, next one. This is gonna be interesting. This one's a tough one. We got Eddie Guerrero versus Macho Man. Macho Man. Let's move on to the next round.
I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
Oh, Spencer, don't
do it.
Not tough for me.
Wow, disrespectful.
This was the hardest one.
No. Well, no. No, no. I love the Macho Man. I really do. Eddie Guerrero's too much. Eddie Guerrero was phenomenal in the ring. And I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that because of the I lie, I cheat, I steal thing, even kind of before that with the Latino Heat days, I don't know if people give Eddie the in-ring respect he deserves.
Okay.
Eddie was really good on the mat.
Yeah.
Technically, like Eddie Guerrero was excellent. And then as far as like he was the best at like using distractions and doing the like while the ref isn't looking or like that type of in-ring performance, he was the best that I had seen. Like it was phenomenal. Like he's
most creative by far.
Like, number one in that area. And with that, again, I'm not trying to take anything away from the Macho Man. Macho Man probably would have done better in another matchup, but this was not hard for me. Whenever I think about it, like Eddie bell to bell, he's better than Macho Man bell to bell.
Okay, Roy, I'm gonna let you be the tiebreaker here because I'm going Macho Man. Now, I'll make the argument due to the fact Macho Man was in an era that, he was surrounded by a bunch of stiffs, right? But he found a way to, like, I watched the documentary and they said the one with him is Steamboat, I think it was at WrestleMania or SummerSlam. It's like one of the greatest matches of all time. I've watched it. It holds up. And apparently, like, Macho Man, like, literally laid down to the second everything they did. Like, he was one of those, you know what I'm saying? And I'm sure Eddie was the same way. You know what I mean? Like, some guys go out and they work on the fly and it's still a great match, but there's some dudes who are like, no, I literally, in my head, I envisioned this match. You know what I'm saying? And Macho Man was that type. he was the first guy to make the elbow drop a thing, like actual popular move. So many people do it now, and it's like, all right, whatever. But
his elbow drop was nice.
Yeah, his was now. He went right at like your chin area, and
it looks
like
right on the throat every time.
Yeah, right in the neck. Yeah.
Right in the neck. Yeah. And he got some up on it. It's top rope, point to the sky. It was fire. Then just like the suplex, everything he did was like smooth and effortless. And yeah, man, it's just Macho Man was like one of the true early goats of like in-ring performance. You know what I'm saying?
And I will give you that he was making it work with, I don't want to say talentless people, but he was able to get a lot done with somebody he was getting no help from.
Yeah, like he was literally like, all right, Hulk Hogan, you go here. All right, now hit me. Okay, now do that. You know what I'm saying? Where like Eddie was like, all right, Chris Benoit, we're gonna do this match we've done 80,000 times, or Kurt Angle, or Rey Mysterio, or you know what I'm saying?
Eddie had the luxury of being on a team with talent, and like Macho Man was Jordan when Pippen wasn't there.
Exactly. Like, bro, SmackDown during that period, bro, he was wrestling Batista, Ray, Chris Jericho, any of those guys
stacked up at the time.
Yeah, like SmackDown at that time was super stacked. So yeah, I'm gonna go Macho Man. Roy, what are your thoughts?
I think, Macho Man is the cream of the crop. He's hard to beat, but I gotta go Eddie.
Oh, okay.
I think when it comes down to selling it and just using distractions, no one does it as good as Eddie does.
Sure.
No one.
One of my all-time favorite moments was, I think it was the belt. He goes to hit. I don't remember who went to go hit. And the ref gets up earlier than he thinks, and he's got to lay on the belt and just pretend like he wasn't about to just hit him over there.
Oh, yeah.
And he gets caught. Oh, man. That is one of the all-time favorite highlights for me.
Yeah. No, those are like, all of those were just like super creative. It was smart. It was like paying homage to like a Ric Flair, but then doing it in a way more like creative way.
And like ref looks back and he's like waving at Rey Mysterio, and he turns back around, he flops back on the ground. Like, I just remember as a kid dying watching that happen.
Yeah, bro. Like, some people think that's like entertainment, but like you have to like map that out as a wrestler. You know what I'm saying? You gotta to execute it well. You gotta
that timing's got to be perfect between all three parties.
Exactly, and I'm sure he came up with all that stuff. I'm sure. Yeah, no, Eddie moves on. It's democracy. I agree. I mean, I don't agree, but I get it. Obviously, that's one of the tougher matchups in the first round.
And let me say, had the Macho Man been up against like Shawn Michaels, Macho Man would have cleared it.
Oh, okay. No, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right. On to our next one. I feel like I'm gonna be one of the ones making the argument here, but we have Undertaker, one of our only big guys in this one. Shout out to him.
Because he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Against the Bout Machine, Kenny Omega. Now, I will make my argument first, because I think I know. Idea. I think I know where the wind is heading on this one.
It's a good idea.
All right. I'm making my case for the Bout Machine, Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is one of the greatest talents to ever wrestle. He just hasn't done it in WWE. But the dude just gets it, bro. Every time he wrestles, it's a 5-star match. And like everybody throws out a 5-star match with everything nowadays, but like he literally has been, I think he's like 40 now. He's been doing it for so long. And the New Japan level, where like them dudes are amazing over there. Like, you can't just squeak by a 5-star match over there. And he's doing it in AEW last couple of years. With Bryan Danielson, he had an amazing match. With Will Ospreay, who's been amazing. It's just like everything he does, he doesn't do, well, he does like stuff that probably, I would say he's a better version of Seth Rollins, if that makes sense. Like, he does everything Seth Rollins can do, but he just does it at a different level. And he just looks like, when you think of a wrestler, if you built a wrestler like in a video game, he looks like an 80s wrestler or something. You know what I'm saying? Dude just looks the part. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, the dude's held championships everywhere. been part of the Bullet Club. He's the leader of the Elite. And he just, like, Undertaker's amazing. We all know that. He's probably the greatest big guy wrestler ever. Like, for the things he could do, for the people he could work with, it didn't matter what size they were. He could make everybody look good. But Kenny's there's a reason they call him the bout machine, because every time he wrestles, you know it's a big fight feel. It just has a different energy about it. And his flying knee, nasty. Like, his finishers are all great. He makes every move look important. Yeah, man. The bout machine. I'm voting for the bout machine, but I understand why I'm not going to win this argument. But go ahead.
So here's where I am on that. Taking the Undertaker out of this. I guess I have not seen enough Kenny Omega, because I would have made the argument in the opposite direction. I feel like Seth Rollins is what Kenny Omega wants to be.
Oh, okay.
And again, perhaps I have not seen enough of this man, because okay. I'm not as familiar with Kenny Omega as some of the other people on this list, but just from what I've seen from him, outside of him being up against the GOAT. Mm-hmm. And for the record, I don't think that The Undertaker is the best in the ring performer. Right. The Undertaker is the overall GOAT, not the in-ring GOAT. So I am removing my bias, because there are a lot of people The Undertaker's not going to win the bracket. I know that.
Right.
And I'm going to be a part of that. But no, I haven't seen that level of excellence from Kenny Omega, and perhaps I have not dedicated enough time to him, but no. Kenny Omega is not a better version of Seth Rollins to me. Like, if those two were up in the bracket, Seth is going to clear that as far as my vote goes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, but even outside of that, the Undertaker's, the fact that he was able to do what he was able to do at his size is impressive, and it's impressive because we've seen people that same size and smaller and bigger that are not able to do some of the shit that Undertaker did.
Yeah, most of them are ass.
Like, it's unfortunate that there are so many people, like, once you hit like 6'6", you're like not, I don't know what happens.
Yeah.
It's like you're just not good anymore. But
yeah,
the Undertaker and Kane were like, no, we're athletes.
Right.
We're gonna do all this shit. They're brothers.
Exactly. DNA,
yeah.
baby.
And so the Undertaker was one of the most creative in the ring that I had seen. I watched him invent moves all over the place. Yeah. That whole like sit up thing, it was
perfect. Oh yeah. Yeah, it was.
Like the way that he used that and the way that it would hit the crowd.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. And then of course, the way that he took moves that we already know and like changed them up to be new and fresh and good, the way that he would pin people. Yeah. You knew where I was going with this. But I wanted to be clear that I am like, Kenny Omega doesn't do it for me.
Sure.
And I think in a lot of these matchups, Kenny Omega wouldn't have gotten very far for me personally. But again, maybe I haven't seen enough of him based on your assessment.
Mm-hmm.
Or we just disagree.
Yeah. Roy, what do you think?
I'm going to keep it pretty short and sweet. I never even heard of Kenny Omega until about a month ago when I think you brought him up on this podcast. Mm-hmm. Looked him up. I'm like, all right, he's nice. And that was the extent of my research on him. It's an easy win.
Okay. I respect it. I mean, obviously Taker is a big time. But Kenny Omega, if you want to look up a Kenny Omega match, you can look up Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay, which is like, for some people believe is like the better version of Seth, or the like newer version of Seth Rollins, like a new evolved version. Kenny Omega came earlier. He's a little older. He's older than Seth. So, but yeah, Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay, or Kenny Omega versus Okada in New Japan, bro, them matches are crazy. And he was kind of one of the first people to, like, I don't want to say create, but he was like one of the first like pillars of this new, like, you know, kickouts, you know, 3-4 kickouts in the match, big time kick out. You know, somebody hits him with a finisher, he kicks out, or he's somebody with a finisher. You know what I mean? He's one of the first people to like add that into matches, and then it made its way to WWE, and now it's like a normal thing. But that used to not be the case. But okay, Undertaker makes it to the next round. Glad Kenny Omega got a little bit of shine. All right, this one is another one I feel like I would be fighting uphill, but hey, we can make it work. We have The Rock versus the best in the world, CM Punk. Go ahead. You guys go ahead. Go ahead. Roy, what do you want to start?
I'll go and start. Again, going back to my John Cena bias, I hate CM Punk. There's not even a respect factor of like, oh, I like him, I could like him. I can't stand the guy. I thought he was overrated. I didn't get the appeal of it. Yeah, the finisher was cool. But then I started actually thinking about it, and his matches were honestly pretty great. He had a lot of moments that I went back and watched earlier, and I guess I was just so encapsulated in my disdain for him that I was like, nah, this isn't that good. He can go. He can go for a while, and he's still going.
Yeah.
The Rock it's a tough battle with The Rock. The Rock just got it. He knew what to sell. He knew how to sell it. I mean, the sell from the Stunner is one of the all-time best sells.
Right. It really is. To me, I don't know. I see both ways. I get the John Cena hate, though. I get that.
I don't like CM Punk, and it has nothing to do with John Cena. I just don't like CM Punk. I have always thought that he is incredibly overrated. I have never just been super impressed by CM Punk, and I feel like a lot of his great matches are through the other guy, not him.
Yes.
I just don't think that CM Punk is worth the hype. Like, he's not that great to me.
Yeah.
And The Rock is boy. The Rock, he did what he did very well.
Yeah.
Again, I've said this, and I still believe this. The Rock's level of versatility was really, really low. So The Rock, and that's acting, that's being a wrestler, that's on the mic, that's like that's across the board. The Rock, the things that The Rock does well, he is the best at.
Right.
But The Rock is not even discussed in categories of things that he's not the best at.
Right.
And so I said that to say that he lacks versatility. Now, he didn't necessarily require that, because, you know, there are some people that, like Chris Jericho is a good example of does versatility well. Honestly, The Undertaker is a good example of does versatility well. But The Rock isn't. And that's okay. Because the things that he did really, really well. The Rock had a pretty good moveset. His punches were very unique, very The Rock. They were really good. His ability to get the crowd involved with what he was doing was excellent.
His crowd work is unmatched.
Yeah, and it's better outside of the ring than in the ring. There's better in the ring crowd work, but The Rock, The Rock's matches were really fun to watch.
Yeah.
And The Rock was one of the best at selling that we've seen, because he put a lot of intent into selling.
Yeah.
And so I think that what The Rock was able to do for himself, as well as what he was able to do for the other guy, was really important. Even if he wanted to be like, I think taking a pin would be difficult for him sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially like later.
Yeah.
Like he was not as interested in that.
Right.
But because The Rock did what he did really well, and because on the record, fuck CM Punk, I'm gonna go with The Rock. And I think I don't like CM Punk so much because the hype that he gets, I think, is what bothers me. Like, if he wasn't as hyped as he was, I wouldn't hate it as much, because then it wouldn't be as like egregious in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, he's just not that guy. And the fact that he's treated like he's that guy and he's not, I just can't get behind it. But we know that I think, as far as being overrated, he's real high on my list.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I mean, for me though, like, I've always been a CM Punk guy from the beginning, even in like 2009 when he first like started, when he was straight edge of society and all that stuff.
That's the worst gimmick of all time.
I liked it.
CM Punk on the mic, though. CM Punk on the mic is a different conversation.
Yeah. But I think what people love about CM Punk is because obviously what he does on the mic, but his work in the ring. So one of the greatest John Cena matches ever. One of the first times we ever were like, "Ooh, John Cena can go," was with CM Punk. Like before that, people were like, "All right, the 5 moves of doom or something?"
5 moves of doom. Yep.
Yeah, like he did 5 moves. We knew what was coming. It was very cookie cutter trash. Whereas when he got with CM Punk, it was like a legit wrestling classic. And I attribute that to CM Punk, right? And like CM Punk set up most of that stuff. When The Rock came back, they had a match at, I forgot what pay-per-view it was. It was an outstanding match with CM Punk. And that was a lot of it due to CM Punk, like, I won't say carrying The Rock, but you know what I mean? He basically was like, all right, you haven't been doing this for a while. Let me lead you through this. You know what I mean? And yeah, is he the most athletic guy? No, but he's more in the vein of like, he just does a lot of things really well, and he keeps it simple. Like he doesn't do like off the top row. He does an elbow drop, but he does like the classics to remind you of the classic stuff. But then he also brings a little bit of new school. Like he was one of the first people to start doing the high knees and incorporating a lot of knee stuff, a lot of like MMA stuff. Obviously, the go to sleep is an amazing finisher when he hits it. It's an amazing finisher when he hits
really not.
It is though.
He's really bad at doing it then.
Well, it's the people. I think the problem was he was doing it to the higher up in the card he got. He had to do it against big ass dudes. But when he did it to John Cena, it looked great. When he did The Rock, it looked great. He sold it well. But yeah, I just thought
just a better sell than it was a better move.
Nah, bro. The go to sleep was fire, bro. Get that thing in 2K. He was
great video game.
His execution of it is my problem, because the move isn't my issue. It's CM Punk's version of it. Like he wasn't set up to do it well.
Yeah, maybe so. But I just think like, the matches he had with Brock Lesnar were amazing. We all know I love Brock, but Brock ain't out here. He ain't on this list for a reason, right? CM Punk carried him through those matches. Like CM Punk is one of the greatest to ever touch a ring. And he's still doing it today. I think a lot of the hype is from the way he left and how he did it in a very like, I won't say Stone Cold type of way, but like a very like, all right, I'm taking the belt and I'm leaving type of thing. And he was going up against Vince, so that even adds even more hype to it and things of that nature. And he, as you talked about, he could talk on the mic, cut classic promos. He cut one of the best promos I've seen against The Rock. So like held his own there. But yeah, CM Punk, I would put CM Punk over, but I did want to have The Rock on here to bring more love to his in-ring stuff, because obviously everybody just talks about, you know, what his talent outside the ring. But I thought, like you said, his DDT, The Rock's DDT, nasty. Obviously, his
Rock's Spinebuster was good.
Spinebuster,
yeah.
amazing. His clotheslines were great. His like a lot of the stuff he did at an elite level. Like you said, he just didn't have a ton of different variations of that.
I love that showboat punch he had where you would look at the fist and just punch it
Oh,
right
yeah.
back at it.
Those
Yeah,
are some of
exactly.
the best punches.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really did. Like it was like the classic punch. Like if you watch a random video on like Instagram, when they do a punch, they're doing the rock punch. You know what I'm saying? Where you stump when you punch and all that. Like, but for me personally, I just think the CM Punk has more classic matches, whereas The Rock has good ones, but you ain't like, man, The Rock in such and such year at such and such pay-per-view tore it down. You know what I mean? So, okay, Roy, what was your I'm sure are you going with The Rock?
I'm going to Rock, but I do want it to go on record that after I started digging in, I almost went CM Punk.
Okay.
I went from no chance in hell to,
Yeah.
maybe.
No chance in hell.
Right.
Okay.
I hope that was on purpose.
It was indeed. I'm glad you guys caught it. I know you would.
Yeah. Okay. So The Rock moves on. There's a lot of old school bias here, but it's fine. It's fine. No big deal. The Rock moves on. And next we have an interesting matchup. We have Randy Orton, who we can talk about how he entered this bracket. A little controversial. Versus Chris Benoit. Now, I originally had Rey Mysterio in this Randy Orton spot because I didn't think he was top 16 of all time, in ring. But I again, democracy, I asked my fellow brethren and they believed he was. So I put him in. So yeah, that is how Randy Orton is on this list. I know some people may be shocked that he's on this list.
I would like the record to reflect that whenever Randy Orton was brought up, I thought someone else should have been pulled out.
I
But
agree.
at the end of the day, I think the best decision was made on that because honestly, Rey Mysterio shouldn't have been in here, in my opinion. I do like Rey Mysterio. I love Rey Mysterio. But I like, and I think Rey Mysterio may be like his size may be at his detriment at this company. Like if Rey Mysterio was going against other people in his same bracket, then his career would look very different. But I think they very specifically put Rey Mysterio up against very large people.
Right.
And
visually give you that visual aspect,
Yeah, like he was billed as the little guy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They leaned into that. And so I think that we would have seen I almost feel like Rey Mysterio was wasted in that regard. Just because we are able to see just about everybody else go up against people in their same weight division or in their same size range.
Right.
We didn't really see that with Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
And so because we were able to see it from everybody else, we were able to see like the full scope of what they were able to do. But I don't know if we got that with Rey Mysterio. At least when his time in WWE.
WWE makes
his
sense.
WCW time, I think he was more dealing with people his same size. I mean, they were still significantly bigger than him, but they were much closer to his size. So I feel like Rey Mysterio didn't get the opportunity to do very much wrestling. He was just doing a lot of jumping off of stuff because that's all he could do against the people they were putting him up with.
They really had him out here fighting Big Show.
And the Great Khali.
Man, I think didn't they have him win a fatal 4-way with who was it? It was Big Show, CM Punk, and was it Jack Swagger?
I think you may be right. Yeah.
Let me look it up real quick.
Because I think that's right. But yeah, because I know one time he won the title and then Randy Orton cashed in and beat him for the title right after that. But
Yeah, so not only was it a fatal 4-way with those people, it was also for a championship.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's I don't know. It really is kind of unfortunate because I love Rey Mysterio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do too. And I think he was at a disadvantage with the time
Yes.
period. Because if Rey
Yeah.
Mysterio was in his prime now, then like he'd be able to cook with a lot of people.
Yeah. You're right. And I mean,
But I think the
he had
roster,
he had a few classics, but it was like, it was like Kurt Angle or Shawn Michaels, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was more of a rare than more that he usually had, which, like you said, it was, especially that time, Vince was like, I want big guys.
Yeah, you got to be at least 3 feet wide.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so Rey Mysterio was honestly like by himself. Like his time with Eddie was some of the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's I think Rey Mysterio, based on the time period, Rey Mysterio was at a disadvantage. And the time period and the like plan and the vision, I think that Rey Mysterio could have been utilized better in the long run.
Definitely. Definitely can see that. So we have Randy Orton versus Chris Benoit. I'll go first. This is easy. This is easy for me. I'll be honest. This is a layup for me. We don't talk about Benoit, but for bracket's sake, we'll put a moratorium over this. Just Benoit was just better in every aspect of the game to me personally. I mean, obviously he didn't have the finisher, like the go-to, everyone knows it finisher, mainstream finisher, but in every other aspect.
I mean, he had one of the best submission finishes.
That crossface.
Cripple crossface was definitely there. Definitely there. He had one of the better ones. I don't want to keep throwing John Cena disrespect, but his actually looked like it hurt.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He actually like crippler crossface. He actually grabbed your face. And it was, I mean, the German suplex is pure. The headbutt off the top rope, pure. You know what I mean? The suplexes, everything he did was just top tier. You know what I'm saying? And Randy, I like Randy. I think he has some of the better like DDTs, obviously the cutter, the all these other things he did, but it's just I think Randy's a better like natural athlete talent, but just like if you were teaching some young prospect about wrestling, I'm showing them Chris Benoit tape before I show them a Randy Orton tape, basically.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. I like Randy Orton. Randy Orton's got one of the best drop kicks in the game.
Yeah, that thing goes high. He got vertical on that joint.
He's hitting in the jaw. Yeah.
And there are not many people physically capable of that.
Right.
So yeah, Randy, as far as athletics, like this may be disrespectful. Who knows? Randy Orton, kind of like a Westbrook. Like he can do all of it.
I want to hear this. Okay.
Oh, he can. That's the thing. Like Randy Orton, Westbrook, I think is very unappreciated. Because
don't get me started.
Westbrook can I don't know that there's anything Westbrook can't do. Westbrook isn't consistent though.
Can't shoot. That's one of the key components of basketball, though.
He can shoot. He's just not consistent. There have been games when Westbrook has been killing them from three. They just don't happen that often.
At all, really.
Knocked that Denver out of the playoffs with one.
But like super athletic and very capable of doing all of the things that the sport requires.
Right.
But just not at the top of very many lists.
Yeah. I will say he had a really good, like, what was the thing where he threw him against the ropes, come back, and he, like, spin around power slam, like, really fast? What is that?
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Was it the scoop slam?
Scoop slam, yeah. It looked beautiful every time.
And
it snapped, too.
Yeah.
His, like, prep work for getting into...
Oh, yeah, the arcade, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Like, and that's the thing, like, Randy
Punching.
Orton's that RKO was perfect because whether he had prep time or not, it was like there were there was the time when he would do the prep time, like he'd get on the ground, he'd be punching the ground, like heel Randy Orton. But the out of nowheres,
that was like peak babyface Randy Orton was like, how can he hit it? Where can he hit it from? Type of thing.
Yeah, and honestly, a lot of that was attributed to the other guy.
Yeah,
but
facts.
It still required the tightest timing from Randy Orton.
Facts.
And there's no way around that. So like, as far as triple doubles go, Randy Orton has got a lot of them. But guy ain't got no rings. And so I love Randy Orton, but Chris Benoit in the ring, Chris Benoit's in that GOAT conversation.
Yeah.
You'd be hard pressed to find somebody who does better technical work, mat work,
right,
than Chris Benoit. Now, and that's why there's more than one category as far as determining this, but like, if you want to talk about like just on the mat, we could talk about the finals right now.
Right, yeah.
But that's not the only thing, because as far as the other categories, Chris Benoit didn't really utilize those, but he didn't need to.
Yeah. Sure.
Like, as far as wrestling, Chris Benoit.
Chris Benoit is one of the all-time just straight up best wrestlers. Like, I think the only one who gives a run for his money is Kurt Angle. Honestly, other than that, I can't think of anyone else in the ring that is a better technical wrestler.
And that's the thing. Like, if that's all we're talking about, we could talk about the finals right now.
Right.
But
yeah, with the others have involved, and the cool thing, his character was like, especially starting out, was less like crowd. Like, obviously, he didn't need the crowd; he's more a villain, anyways. Then he became a babyface. He kind of started adding the crowd in a little bit, but it wasn't like a specific thing or any, prep time. What's coming type of thing. You know what I mean? And it was more like him just doing German suplex 3 times and the crowd goes crazy. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'm not surprised at the result of this, but okay. I like what I'm seeing. Benoit moves on to the next round. All right, our last matchup of the first round.
You didn't ask me who I chose.
Oh, my bad. I thought you said, my bad. You're right. Who'd you choose?
Here's the thing. When you asked us, I told you originally that Randy's it might be in my top 5.
Crazy.
What's very unfortunate is the placing.
Yeah.
Because who's above him in my top 5 is one Benoit. So not that it would have mattered. I just wanted it to go on record.
Okay.
Even though my bias is heavy Randy Orton.
Right.
Benoit wins it out. It's hard to beat him.
Yeah. It's a good point. Good point. So Benoit moves on, and he will be facing the winner of this next matchup, Ric Flair versus Seth freaking Rollins. What do you guys think? I mean, I will say there's been a trend of anti-old school. So, I'm sorry, more old school than anti-new school, but what do you guys think?
So this is the hardest matchup for me.
Okay.
Ric Flair was very much able to benefit from his time period. I feel like he was doing stuff at the time that like we hadn't seen a lot of, or at least hadn't seen on the biggest stage or whatever. And Ric Flair worked. Like, Ric Flair was out there, like, doing it every week, multiple times a week. Like, Ric Flair was in the life. And so, like, Ric Flair didn't miss a game for many years.
Right.
Ric Flair was also very good at making the other guy look good. And Ric Flair was very good. I mean, like, I don't want to necessarily say invented, but he's the first memory that I have of, like, distracting the referee, the whole dirtiest player in the game.
Yeah.
Like, all that stuff. Seth Rollins, though, is one of the best move executors I've seen.
Yeah.
As far as what I've seen from him, his move execution is more often flawless than not.
Yeah.
Like Seth Rollins does everything that he does very, very well, like at the highest level.
Yeah.
And every time I see Seth Rollins, it is like, oh, like no botches. Like everything is beautiful and clean and executed to perfection.
Yeah. It's a good point.
And so on the mat, it's Seth Rollins. But whenever everything else is involved, I'm gonna be honest, I'd rather watch a Seth Rollins match.
Yeah, I think that's
I'm gonna give this one to Seth Rollins.
I like it.
We're going to just throw out the whole old man bias as well, because I'm going Seth Rollins as well.
Oh,
I think his move set was just so good. As Spencer said, just so flawless. Execution was on point. I do think the stomp kind of dumb. Not a big fan of the finisher, but everything else beautiful.
I like the stomp.
Really?
And the thing is, that's also a really hard move to like that. Hitting that without hitting it, making it look good, and not fucking somebody up.
I agree. I think I honestly don't know why I don't like it, but I watch it. It just doesn't do it for me.
Okay.
The same way like Randy Orton's punt, it just didn't do it for me. Like, it looked so good, and it looked like it hurt, but I was still just like, I'm just not a fan of it. The stomp it just doesn't do it for me.
Is it because it's so simple?
Maybe, but then again, I mean, my personal all-time favorite finisher is Batista Bomb. There's nothing special about it.
Yeah. That's one of my pet peeves of power bombs.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Batista Bomb at all.
No one is.
We'll just agree to disagree on that.
But I love. To me, Seth Rollins is the video games of wrestling. Like he literally does nothing. He does everything perfect. It's like watching a video game. You know what I mean? His Falcon Arrow's beautiful. His stomp is beautiful. It's everything he does. Everything like it's almost like it's almost annoying. Like that. Like he does nothing bad. Like, and he could do a move the first time he's ever done it, and it looked beautiful, and clean, like you said. And I love the stomp. Like I love that he can do it in so many different ways. He can catch people in so many different ways, especially like as a heel, distraction type of thing, or somebody you try to get in the ring, somebody holds your leg, and then you come through, hit you with the stomp. Or as a good guy, I remember he had to beat Bobby Lashley. He did it off the top rope. Like it's just really cool to see. You know what I mean? And the crowd and he's done it in many different. He's done it on the table. He's done it in a bunch of different places. Yeah, this is tough. Obviously, one of the GOATs, Ric Flair, but yeah, if we're talking in ring, Seth Rollins is one of the greatest talents to ever come to wrestling. Like he's the evolution of everything we've seen with all these other guys, and he's like, the end result of all that. So, yeah, I agree. Seth Rollins moves on.
How fitting that he was the evolution.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay. All right. Now we're on the second round. These ones will be interesting. Since we don't have to introduce people, it'll just be more of an interesting debate. First in the second round, honestly, could be the finals for some people. In a different seeding, HBK versus Kurt Angle. Now, I'll be honest. I'll just get mine out the way. It's Kurt Angle for me. But yeah, y'all go ahead.
Right.
Spencer, I'm going Kurt Angle. Don't need to talk about it. Already said.
We don't need to talk about it. It's Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
Like it's Kurt Angle. Like I'm gonna be surprised if Kurt Angle's not in the finals.
Yeah. No.
Like, it's gonna be tough.
I'm gonna be shocked if Kurt Angle's not in the finals.
Yeah. So folks, HBK got him up out of here. Kurt Angle. It moves on to the next round. Simple enough. Next one we have an old WCW type matchup. We have Chris Jericho versus Eddie Guerrero.
This one, we. Oh,
We might have to have a tiebreaker situation. We'll see.
Yeah, this one's a good matchup.
I'm gonna golly, because like crowd interaction, I'm gonna give Eddie the nod there. But like technical, they're both elite of elite. Finishers, I mean, I love the Walls of Jericho, one of my favorite submissions of all time. He didn't do a lot of like off the top rope type stuff. Obviously, did the moonsault, yeah. But
honestly, the code breakers clean too. I love the code breaker.
Codebreaker was dope, and it was
I
one
wish
of the
he did
first
it
people
more.
I seen. Yeah, he was one of the first people I saw that did it. You know, especially as a finisher, and it always looked good. You know what I mean? It looked like it actually hurt. I forgot about the Codebreaker. That might have to factor in here.
That Codebreaker was nice. That was again another move you can kind of do out of nowhere. It had like the RKO effect.
Right. Oof. I'll be honest, fellas. I'm rocking with Chris Jericho here, just because off of everything we've talked about. I mean, one of the key factors of Eddie Guerrero is obviously the distractions, the creativity as far as like match layout and stuff. But Chris, I got to give it to him. Yeah, going Chris Jericho for my vote.
I am reluctantly following suit in Chris Jericho. It is a tough selection, but I broke it down to if I was playing 2K right now and I hit random, and it's those two, who am I moving my controller to? And Chris Jericho just does it for me.
Yeah.
I think that my knee jerk was Chris Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
But factoring in everything, I think I would have gone with Eddie in the end.
Gotcha. Definitely a toss-up. Like,
there is no wrong answer in this one.
And I think that I mean, Chris Jericho, for obvious reasons, has the advantage of time on his side.
Right.
And I think that Chris Jericho also had the advantage of reaching the top guy point. And I don't know that Eddie was able to get that done.
Yeah,
like, Eddie had a lot of he had a lot of popularity. Everybody loved Eddie, but I don't think Eddie reached top guy. I don't think he had enough time to get there.
I don't know if Vince would let him either.
Also,
he had a moment. What was that? 06? You know what I mean? That was like his peak.
Yeah,
Eddie Guerrero. But yeah, overall, he definitely didn't reach the main event level of the card till way later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Chris Jericho had been there, done that by that point.
It definitely felt forced by Vince just because the crowd loved him so much. So he's like, I have to. Like, what are you gonna do?
Right. He beat
because I think because if it had been up to Vince, Eddie would have stayed at like European champion level.
Yeah.
No, it's a tough one. It's definitely, but again, we're factoring everything in. So, but yeah, Eddie and another seed could probably be our winner. You know.
Yeah.
All right. That'll be an interesting matchup later. Next we have Undertaker versus. Did we say The Rock made it through?
Yes.
The Rock, yep.
All right, my pen went out on me. So, all right, Undertaker versus The Rock. This is interesting here.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like I know where Spencer's going, but I mean, who knows? Maybe
not quite. I don't have an immediate answer.
Okay.
I think that The Undertaker has a surprisingly more expansive moveset.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, The Rock did what he did very, very well.
Mhm.
Right.
But he was limited in what he was able to do very, very well.
Right.
But The Rock sells a lot better than the GOAT.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, I wouldn't even call that up for debate. I think The Rock does a better job of crowd involvement, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't
It's also
necessarily
the
think that's what
character.
I don't think that's what The
Yeah.
Undertaker's going for, though.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He was American Badass was a little more for it, but not really.
Yeah, like
You know.
Undertaker was never trying to.
Yeah.
Like that was he didn't do anything flashy to produce that.
Right.
The Undertaker did more of a Tim Duncan style.
Yeah.
Um,
I love these NBA references.
I mean, just for the people who.
No, hey, I like it.
But yeah, it's difficult for me, and I still may need time to think about it. Roy, what are your thoughts?
I think just pure ring work alone, I have to give the edge to The Rock.
Mm.
Just because, I mean, it's almost not fair because that was the Undertaker's role, was to kind of, he's the ominous one. You don't know anything about him. I mean, watching The Last Ride, the documentary, the film crews weren't even allowed to follow him. So they intentionally didn't want you to know anything about him. It's like he couldn't work the crowd. He couldn't do, amp them up. Like all of his stuff was supposed to be just out of nowhere.
And he
So I
was
feel
one
like-
of those people, like he definitely had heel and face moments, but he was one of those people who kind of lived in the middle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he lived in that area where like he maybe even if he was supposed to be a heel, he was more just like scary than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He existed in the void is kind of how I always looked at it. Like he was neither one side or the other. He just basically he did what he wanted to do.
And he existed as like because the way Teddy Long used him was just hilarious.
Yeah, he's a
The
mercenary.
Undertaker.
Yeah.
And
Hold up,
so,
Playboy.
Yeah.
like, tonight you're wrestling The Undertaker.
Did you kind of deviate from that a little bit? Did you see that video that went around of like every time he said you're fighting the Undertaker?
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like 7 minutes long, and it was just
Yeah.
tonight you're up against the Undertaker. 7 minutes long.
Yeah, bro, that was a whole shtick.
It was a
for
thing.
SmackDown. Yeah.
And, it was and that's the thing. Like the Undertaker, he lived in a void. Like he kind of just existed, and people loved him and respected him, but he was never like in the headlines or anything.
Yeah. I personally, I'm leaning towards Taker just because, like we talked about, versatility. Like, there's so many versions of Taker, not only as a character, but like as his wrestling style. Like, even there was like
he incorporated boxing into his wrestling.
Yeah, like there's a thing called like MMA or Taker, where like he just starts doing like his finisher was Cobra. What was that thing called? Where he basically wraps his legs around you, you like go to sleep.
Was it Hell's Gate?
Yeah, Hell's Gate. Yeah. Hell's Gate. He was doing a lot more like punching, like you said, boxing type of thing. Like that was like a whole like period where he did that. Then before, with American Badass, it was a lot more simple, more obviously power bombs, less tombstone power drivers. It was just, I just think versatility wise, he could not only adjust his character, but he could adjust his ring work to his character because he could execute all of it. He could really do anything he wanted. He just had to make sure he wasn't like, don't say a word Undertaker and still doing like high fly spots and stuff like that for the most part. He kind of saved that for other times. But like, yeah, man, like his versatility, he's had one of the greatest matches of all time with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, and then with Triple H, or he had it with Shawn Michaels, then he had it with Triple H back to back. Like that's
Because
you know what I
didn't
mean?
he did Shawn Michaels again, then Triple H,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
then Triple H. Yeah, so he basically ended Shawn Michaels' career due to that outstanding match, and then the next year in the steel cage, Shawn Michaels the ref. It's like that's one of the greatest matches ever. And like The Rock is amazing, but you don't think of like a Rock match. You don't think of one. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Taker, he was putting on bangers like every week on SmackDown or even pay-per-views. You know what I'm saying? So to me,
to keep up the NBA references,
yeah,
The Rock was almost like a Vince Carter.
yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
And that's not to take anything away from Vince Carter, but what we know Vince Carter for, like he is the best to do it. Period.
Yeah, facts.
No one like Vince Carter was too much.
Yeah,
he could do some other stuff too, but he wasn't in very many conversations for other stuff.
Right. Yeah, you only think of one thing when you say Vince Carter. So yeah.
And
but
that
what
reference
you
may be unfair, but
might have to be the tiebreaker here.
I think so. I'm gonna have to select in the ring on the mat. I'm gonna have to go with the GOAT. Because I just feel like he was able to do more than The Rock.
Yeah. All right. The Rock had a good showing, but he is now out.
I feel like
fair. I
feel like the Undertaker, there are a lot more people the Undertaker could make look good than The Rock could.
Okay.
And that's an incredible skill from somebody at his size.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. And
like
then,
whenever, this is random, but like whenever The Rock chokeslammed the Undertaker, it was trash.
Oh yeah. If he did another, when he did the stunner on Stone Cold, I was like, this is garbage.
But then when Randy Orton tombstoned the Undertaker, it was pretty good.
Yeah, no, it was legit. And to mention like that match, the matches he had with Randy were good. Okay, so we have Chris Benoit versus Seth Rollins.
Oh God,
this is tough. This is like the new version, outstanding technical wrestler versus like the old school version of what you think a great technical wrestler is.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna do it. I'm going to give this to Seth Rollins.
Ooh.
I'm gonna do it. I think that Chris Benoit is better technically,
right?
But because Seth Rollins is as good as he is technically, and I think that Seth Rollins has a better moveset. And again, I mean, I'd say that both of them have pretty strong execution, but I think that what Seth Rollins is doing requires more precision than what Chris Benoit is doing, other than the headbutt.
So that headbutt was, he would get like, they'd be the other side of the ring and he's nailing you.
Yeah. That headbutt
CTE,
was
That's what did it.
Yeah, that's what did it.
That headbutt was very impressive, but I'm gonna give it to Seth Rollins reluctantly.
I'm gonna let Roy. I got my answer, but Roy, what do you think?
Like I said earlier, Benoit to me is my all-time top 5 in-ring wrestlers.
Yeah.
With as much respect as I have for Seth Rollins, I got to give it to Benoit.
This one, I thought I had an answer, but then I started thinking of where Roy talked about it. These are low key like 2 of my favorites of all time. Like Chris Benoit, I love since the first time I saw him in WCW. But then Seth Rollins hit this gear that I just haven't
He's
seen.
moving right now too.
Yeah, I just haven't seen many people hit this type of gear.
And maybe I haven't watched enough Seth Rollins, but I haven't seen Seth Rollins make any mistakes.
No, I mean, he at one time he was known for like getting people hurt, but it wasn't really, it was one of those things where like people got hurt. He just so happened to be wrestling with them. But yeah, he doesn't have botches, and if he does it in such a way to where it's like, oh, he meant to do that, and then he ad-libbed from that to where it looked even better. So I mean, I struggle, man. I just think if we're we talked about we're factoring in all the components of being a great in-ring performer. Technically, I mean, it's kind of close. We're just doing technical. I'd probably give the edge to Benoit a little bit, technically, but it's not much. And then the other parts of it, it's a kind of a sweet. I mean, it's kind of easy in Seth Rollins' favor. So I'm going to go Seth Rollins.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad.
Yeah, it's hard for me because literally Chris
I don't like doing it.
Yeah, he's one of my like favorites to ever. Like his chop, super underrated. Like his gear, super underrated. When he would like bring out different colors with I used to go crazy with
those pants,
fire.
With
and
like
I'm not even a tights guy.
On them?
Yeah, fire. All right. So to keep it moving, we have Kurt Angle against Chris Jericho. What we thinking? I'm probably gonna. I think it's tough.
It's a tighter matchup than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
The outcome doesn't change for me though.
But I'm going Kurt Angle.
Yeah, I agree.
Kurt Angle.
Yeah. I think
Spencer Fates. He's too much.
He's just too much. He's just too much. He's literally the wrestling machine. Kurt Angle moves on to the finals. All right, we have Undertaker,
the GOAT,
versus Seth freaking Rollins. Never thought I'd see this matchup, but
same.
Yeah.
I love them both dearly.
Is Seth gonna end up in the finals? Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
I'm not gonna say it yet. But I know how I feel. Again, Seth Rollins, he's in the ring, masterful. And I don't want to do it. But I think I'm gonna have to say Seth Rollins.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Putting your bias aside, I respect it. And it's funny because you said Taker isn't going to win the thing, but he's low key in the semi.
He's doing better than I thought he would.
Yeah, he's low key semi. He's like one he's reach away. All right, Roy. What's your temperature on this one?
I don't even want to say it because it hurts. But I gotta show Taker the door.
Oh, that's tough.
I don't want to do it. I don't like doing it, but
I mean, like you said, Seth Rollins it's Seth freaking Rollins. Like he's so good right now. Like he's flying, he's going, he's on it. Like you said earlier, like he's hit this level, and a lot of guys will hit the level and then kind of die off.
Right.
He's still ascending. Like I don't know where the ceiling is for him.
Right.
To be quite honest, like he's going, and it's so flawless, and everything just looks good. It's hard to say anyone can beat him.
I'm with you guys. It's Seth freaking Rollins, baby. It's the Messiah. It's tough. Taker, first of all, for Taker to be a big guy, being in the semifinals with all these other great wrestlers, it's a nod to him, but it's just a tough matchup. It's just Seth Rollins again. He's a video game. Like he does everything you would think when you build a video game character as a wrestling. Like you think, okay, I'm gonna build a light heavyweight guy who can do every move. That's Seth Rollins. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I agree here. We got Seth freaking Rollins versus Kurt Angle in the finals, guys.
All that to say, I'm sorry, Seth.
And what I
want
want
the debate for me.
And what I thought about saying, but I will say now, it didn't matter. Who Kurt was in the finals with, like Undertaker and Seth Rollins, it didn't matter.
Yeah, no, this is a consolation for us.
Yep, like who's getting the silver is
it
discussing just now.
I think it would have hurt worse if it would have been Kurt Angle Taker, because you'd be like, I want to give it to Taker just because the GOAT.
Yeah,
but still, at the end of the day, like you can't create a better wrestler in ring than Kurt Angle. I think.
Kurt Angle.
No, I agree.
Yeah, like he's too much.
And yeah, he's just
he won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck. What else do you want?
He was one of the greatest submissions of all time. One of the greatest finishers. The Olympic Slam is beautiful. No one's done it like him since. His moonsault was gorgeous.
That moonsault was perfect.
I mean, it is literally, yeah. If you were teaching a freaking gymnast, you'd be like, watch Kurt Angle. Like,
yeah, that moonsault was perfect. And it didn't make sense. Like, based on how he's built, you wouldn't think he's doing perfect moonsaults.
Yeah, bro. It was like up. And like, he didn't even like go backward. It was like up and then straight down. It was just gorgeous. Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, I mean, I think we know what time it is.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, obviously it's going to help him that he was an actual like Olympic wrestler, but like the suplexes are just, they were so good.
So, yeah, there are other Olympic wrestlers but none of them were Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild, but like he took to it naturally and just was the best, the wrestling machine. And I think no matter where he falls in this, like if we did a randomizer, as far as the bracket seating, like I think we get the same result, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I knew that from jump. Like
yeah, Kurt Angle, the GOAT in ring. He is our best in ring bracket winner, Kurt Angle. That was fun. All right, so
suck.
Yeah, exactly. One of the greatest theme music. Amazing.
So like he ate it too. He loved it.
Yeah, and that was just like a thing.
He shouldn't have been as good as he was on the mic.
No, he shouldn't have.
He should not. And I don't think that people realize how good he was and how hilarious he was, how entertaining he was, and how he was able to like break other people.
Yeah.
And like
literally almost got Taker a few times.
Yeah, like I don't think that occurs to people because he wasn't doing a lot of just like because The Rock was like talking directly to people and just disrespecting them, making fun of them and all that. Like Kurt Angle wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
And so I think people didn't realize.
Well, unless you're Booker T and his wife.
He was trying to have Booker T's wife. Oh, he was trying to have Charmel. Was that her name?
Yeah.
Oh, he was trying. I think he just straight up like, I want to have sex with your wife.
I think he verbatim said that.
Like, literally.
On mic.
Not
on camera.
Yeah, like, oh God.
That was crazy. I forgot about that.
That was wild.
I forgot about that. But yeah, Kurt, I mean, he's one of the GOATs in several different categories. But shout out to Kurt Angle. He wins our bracket. We will now finish out with our top 5 most underrated wrestlers of all time. We will go, obviously, like normal format, 5-5-5, 4-4-4, 3-3-3, normal format. I will go first. Number 5 for me, Dustin Rhodes, Goldust.
Ooh.
One of the most underrated wrestlers of all time. Entertainment factor, obviously. He was amazing. When he came in, like, niggas hated him because they thought he was actually gay. They thought he was, like, really, gay out here. But the dude just, in ring was really good. I mean, obviously, he's a Rhodes, so they don't produce bad wrestlers. But his gimmick, He did it for so damn long. He was funny so long. The stuff he had with Booker T was like elite level comedy. And yeah, just I think Goldust just doesn't get as much love as he deserves as far as like one of the greatest like characters WWE's ever had. And again, the longevity was crazy. So yeah, number 5 for me, Goldust.
I agree. Like as far as characters go,
Yeah.
like one of the best we have ever seen.
Yeah.
Like that's an oh god, yeah, that character work was impeccable.
Yeah, it was so good. I mean, because they tried pushing Cody Rhodes so hard early on.
Yeah,
what was he was
Stardust.
Stardust. Yeah, like they wanted him so bad, like to be good because he was the Rhodes, and he just wasn't sticking. So like, let's just throw in one of the dust names and see if it sticks.
Yep. Yeah, it just never got to the level of Goldust, man. And yeah, just Goldust they put him in any situation, he made the best of it. He never got like the main push, but man, like the dude was amazing, bro. If y'all look up on YouTube when one of Dusty's like last like big moments in WWE before he passed, they had obviously Dusty. They had Cody. I think he was Stardust at the time. I can't remember, but him and Goldust won the tag team championships, and then like Dusty was at the ring and Dusty started crying. Bro, one of the best all-time moments ever. But yeah, that's my number 5. Roy, I'll let you go next. Who's your number 5?
My top 5 was really hard to do. It's hard to like actually place them because other than number 1, I think number 1 is was pretty straightforward.
Gotcha.
But I actually have kind of another, wrestling lineage name. I got Ted DiBiase.
Oh, very good. He was on my honorable mentions. Yeah.
Dusty or Goldust was one of my honorable mentions.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, Ted was nice. Ted is like super underrated as far as character, and he can wrestle really well.
Character, I think he was at the time was one of the best, and up until this newer like heavy push, heavy focus on the story. Now, I think he was one of the greatest heels. Like he was so good at it,
bro.
He was one
$1 million
of the best
man.
heels.
Yeah. $1 million man. That honestly, I hate like the made up belts, like the 24/7 belt, but that $1 million belt, bro, for some reason I loved it. I loved everything. I loved it. It looked cool. Oh,
bro, the way he used to treat Virgil, like it was low key like some. I know black people was hot back then. I know they were. It just like he make Virgil do everything for him, and but yeah, no, you're right. Like Ted DiBiase, like. Yeah, one of the greatest heels ever. He just made you despise him. He talked about the pores. He was going at everybody. And he made other people look good because, it's obvious if you're a babyface, it's easy to make yourself look good when another guy's talking about how much money he has and all this other stuff. That's a good pick.
Number 5 for me, D'Lo Brown.
I knew you was going for D'Lo. I looked up a list. I saw D'Lo. I was like, Spenser going for D'Lo. I already know.
Oh God, I love D'Lo Brown. He was great. And D'Lo Brown, yeah, like he never. It feels like he didn't get very far.
Honestly, I mean, yeah, I guess technically, yeah, but he had a really successful career. He just, he had a certain ceiling.
Yeah, I feel like he had a solid run, and then I feel like he went into more of a training other people role.
Right.
But yeah, like D'Lo Brown was really entertaining in all regards.
Yeah, all aspects.
Not necessarily like the best at anything, but like D'Lo Brown was really solid in like every category.
Always hold his own.
Always. He was super talented. Way more athletic than he looked.
More athletic than he looked.
He honestly had a really good build. He
he really did. Especially for that time period. Like you didn't have to be super cut. You just kind of had to have a muscular build.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his finisher, I forgot what the hell that thing was, but it was like a spike, but it was like I forgot what it's called, but it was a really good finisher. His music was fire. Yeah. D'Lo Brown. Really,
Was it called the Sky High?
I think it was Sky High.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, really good finisher. One of the greatest European champions we've ever had. He was
Possibly
just like, yeah, possibly. Like, he's up there with like William Regal, guys like that who just took the title, which isn't that prestigious, and then just made it really, really cool to have. So, yeah, I like D'Lo Brown. I knew that was coming. I knew it. Shout out to D'Lo Brown. He does like creative stuff in the background for like Impact Wrestling, and he's like one of their main people helping younger guys come up, guys and gals. Number 4 for me, one of my favorites of all time. I actually watched a documentary on the other day. My big fella, Bam Bam Bigelow.
Bam Bam Bigelow.
Bam Bam.
Bam Bam Bigelow.
Shockingly athletic.
Bro, one of the pioneers of, like, if Bam Bam Bigelow was out now, bro, he'd be one of the best wrestlers out right now.
You wouldn't be able to stop him.
Yeah, like the stuff he did was way before his time. My dude was doing moonsaults. My dude was doing everything. His finisher was amazing. I remember one of my other guys on the list. They did a tag team together in WCW. It was great. His ECW run was amazing. He used to just throw Spike Dudley around, just throw him in the crowd, just like
Spike Dudley took so much punishment.
Yeah, he just throw Spike to the 5th row of the crowd. His gear was fire. My man had the tattoo on the head.
Would it be out of line to say that?
Yeah, it is.
Probably.
I think that, like, if Bam Bam Bigelow is a base, then that's the base Kevin Owens used.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, that's a good comparison though. Like, big guy who you wouldn't expect to be able to do a bunch of stuff they do, and then like their moveset's amazing. They do, yeah, like you said, like they do a lot of stuff they shouldn't be able to do. Yeah, man, that's a good point. I mean, Bam Bam is just, I think a lot of people watch Bam Bam and like took from him. They don't not necessarily give him the credit or say, hey, I was inspired by Bam Bam, but like a lot of big dudes started doing stuff like that due to him, doing dives and splashes and fog splashes and moonsaults and all that stuff. Because back then, dudes wasn't doing that.
Yeah, and he had no business being able to do it, and yet here he was. Like, so yeah, shockingly athletic.
Shockingly, yeah, big fella. Roy, what you got?
So my number 4 is a little unconventional, I think, but I stand firm on it. And for me, it is Kane.
Oh, I thought about Kane.
I feel like Kane. When people compare, like they automatically compare, obviously, Kane to Undertaker.
Yeah.
And in that instance, like Undertaker gets so much shine. My unpopular opinion is I personally like Kane more than the Undertaker.
Talk your talk.
I think Kane is more athletic. He had I liked his storyline a little better. I just think because Undertaker was so big, and obviously after watching, the whole backside of it, like Mark was best friends with Vince. Like there's no getting around that they pushed heavily towards Undertaker as opposed to Kane. But I mean, I feel like Kane was so underutilized for anything he could have been doing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with something like, yeah, Kane was stupid athletic. Like both of them played college basketball. Like so both of them were like extremely athletic. And yeah, Kane, man, like again, like that first like 8 to 10 years, stupid. And I mean, when he took the mask off, he had some great years there too.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously my favorite version of Kane is like 2002 when he switched the patterns.
Yeah, the tank top was my favorite.
Yeah.
I love tank top Kane.
Yeah. Like I think my favorite is like when he switched it. So he did the red and the mainly black, I think. And then he also changed like his mask a little bit. I think that was in like, was it WrestleMania 2000? It might be a little later than that, but yeah, that bro, Kane in general, yeah, his choke slam was amazing.
He had the best choke slam.
He did.
Yeah, I'd
watch comparisons.
There's no question. Like Kane's choke slam was easily the best one.
You could just tell, like Undertaker's was getting more assisted by the other wrestler, where Kane, like you look at someone like Kane is literally picking them up by their throat, like they are not helping at all.
Right.
But like I'm looking up pictures right now, like to try to look at his outfit, and I forgot how jacked Kane just
Kane
has
was
been.
huge.
Huge.
Prototype. He literally looked off a video game, bro. He was jacked.
Kane
He was
huge.
honestly
And
more physically
that's
impressive.
why I liked
than
Tank
Taker.
Top Kane.
Yeah, that's true. He was more physically impressive than Taker was.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they brought him in as I think that was the whole point, was like finding somebody who was able to be that. Like Kane is the only person that could have done that.
And Kane's like scary factor is underrated. Like obviously Taker was scary, but like when that fire hit, boom, and you was in the ring, you was like, oh shit, like it's a wrap. Like homie about to come in here, chokeslam everybody, hit the little boom, and then walk out. Like
and Kane made you wonder, like, is that really?
Yeah,
is he really that?
Yeah, you hear what was his song? Slow Chemical hit, and he was like,
oh. Bro, I
like,
loved it when they had the lyrics with it.
Yeah, the lyrics.
That sold it.
Yeah, that one.
Loved it.
It just gets all dark and red, and you're just like, oh. He had that little. You just saw his one eye. He had that contact in. I was like, oh, he can't see anything. Like he's a demon, is what I thought the whole time.
Yeah, bro. When he hit with the lyrics with it, I was like, oh, this is a different level.
Oh yeah,
this is a different level. But no, Kane's a really good pick. I thought about Kane as well, so that's a good pick. Spencer, what you got?
Number 4, I have Jazz.
Oh, I like it. This will go with an all black list.
I'm not going. It's not all black, but Jazz was absolutely before her time.
Yes.
We know that when Jazz was wrestling, women's wrestling was bra and panties matches. Women were there
fights,
to be decorative, and like it was, but Jazz was wrestling,
really throwing them hoes around.
Jazz was fucking them up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, Jazz had a lot of talent, and honestly, like sometimes I'd be like, that she is abusing that poor girl.
Was Jazz? I want to say she was, but was Jazz in the China era? Was like, did they go against each other?
No, China was out by then.
Okay.
So Jazz was more like Trish Stratus and Lita and Stacy Keibler are always around, but I feel like Tori was there, Victoria was there.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Like Terry and Sable had been out already.
That's right.
There's somebody I'm missing. But yeah, Jazz was she was wrestling.
Yeah.
And I think she's underrated because I'd put her in today with the women now.
I think today Jazz is basically like a Beth Phoenix.
No, facts. Like she's had a build, she had everything, bro.
Yeah. Like she was she was very legitimate in a time when that wasn't cool.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
If you weren't Stacy Keibler, like Stacy Keibler, Michelle McCool, no one cared about you. Like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, because Jazz was not cute, but Jazz was very talented.
As Spencer, I don't even want to say it, but as Spencer will say, her face was lifted to 220.
She had a strong face.
That was 315.
Yeah, her face may have been benching 350. 360. That
she
face
probably
was
also
strong.
was benching 352. She was jacked.
Yeah, she was
strong.
I will say she was it Jacqueline? She wasn't as good as Jacqueline was, but
Jacqueline predates her a little bit.
Yeah, she does, but like she wasn't as good as Jacqueline, but like and that's kind of why she's kind of underrated. Like she falls into a different era where honestly, like, because it was weird, like Jacqueline, China, Trish Stratus, they were low on the card, but they also got more love, obviously, just because they, objectively look better. But Jazz was in a different era where it was like, if you don't look good, you definitely not getting on the card. You definitely not getting no love.
That was, unfortunately for her, like that was the case.
The Divas era and the women's era are completely different.
That's like she was in the Divas era, and she shouldn't have been. Like
she don't want no damn butterfly belt.
Right, exactly. Little ugly ass belt. Some people want that back. I'm like, hell no, that thing is ugly. Okay, number 3 for me, one of my favorites of all time, and is highly, highly underrated. DDP, Diamond Dallas
Ooh,
Page.
the original cutter.
Yeah, the actual. That's why when people
the
say
diamond cutter.
The diamond
when people
cutter.
say
That's the name of the
RKO,
move.
yeah, I'd be like, oh, hold on, it's the
Yeah.
diamond cutter.
It's the
Like I'd be
diamond
like,
cutter.
yeah. DDP was one of my favorites in WCW because he was one of those. He kind of had a Daniel Bryan type story. Like he wasn't supposed to get over. Like it was a Hogan era, it was a Kevin Nash era, it was Goldberg, but then he just got over with the crowd. He literally called himself the People's Champ. Like he was one of the first people to say that, and the Rockstar saying it after. But he was the People's Champ. You know what I'm saying? The cutter and he used to do it like Randy Orton does it in a creative way, in a way more athletic way. The cutter, but like DDP was one of the first people to like start doing it in different ways. Like he get a guy in a power bomb, lift him up, and then throw him in, like push him up in the air, and then hit him with the cutter. Or he'd find different ways to hit it. It was definitely more of a stiff way, but yeah, it was just when he hit it, the crowd went crazy. When he did the bang, like the music, bro, DDP, one of my favorites. Like came out of nowhere, but I just don't think he gets enough love. When people think of WCW, and they screwed him over when he got to WWE, made him like a Undertaker's wife's stalker. It was just stupid as hell.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, he was just really, really good. DDP is one of my favorites.
It's so funny. I realize now, because I loved him as much as I did, I didn't realize at the time he wasn't getting the love he deserved. Like I just kind of decided like the people I like are the people that everybody likes.
Right.
So obviously, like I was good and grown before I realized like, oh, DDP kind of got hoed.
Yeah, he got played. Like that was a Vince, oh, you're too old. Because I mean, he did start killing it when he was like already in his 40s. Like he was mid 40s already. And then when he got to WWE, they were like, yeah, we're good.
But your time is
bro.
gone.
He could have, because during the Invasion era, you could have easily just have him do the normal DDP character. He would have got over with the crowd. He'd have been another person you could add to the Invasion storyline. But yeah, they were just like, no, we're going to make you go up against Taker, get smashed every week. You're going to have this weird stalker character. It was just stupid. It was dumb. And it kind of messed up his legacy a little bit. But yeah, one of my favorites.
Real ones know, though.
Yeah, real ones know. Facts. Had a great look. Dude was just amazing on the mic. Yeah,
he was cut too. He was.
Yeah, he was.
He's doing yoga stuff now. It's like he absolutely could have, like, Vince just had such an age biasy and like build biasy.
Yep.
That he was just like, nah, you're done. But like the dude had to stretch it 4 times a day. Like he is probably could still go today.
And that's like most wrestlers are not in good shape for very long. Like DDP is in great shape now.
Outstanding. Today. Like he might be in better shape now than he was when he wrestled. Like, dude is. That's why, like, sometimes he shows up to like AEW Royal Rumbles or stuff like even WWE. I think he did it like 2018 or so, and it was hitting people with cutters. Like, it looked great, you know, just because he did that DDP yoga has helped a bunch of other older wrestlers who are now like in great shape now due to him. So yeah, he's killed it in and outside the ring. So yeah. All right, Roy, what you got number 3?
Well, number 3 is a guy that I have loved ever since I saw him, and I have always been so sad every time he gets hoed. And that is Shelton Benjamin.
Hey, where was he? I mean, Spencer, was he on your list?
I thought about him.
Okay.
But
you know, you're going to all black theme. He fit.
I did not. It like the first 2 being black was, you know, just kind of how it happened.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I was not going with an all black list. Like,
gotcha. Yeah.
Xavier Woods is not about to be next.
Honestly, low-key might be one of mine, but yeah. All right.
So I said that because like he could.
No, he could low-key, but no, Shelton Benjamin. That's a great pick.
I mean, I feel like every time he's in Money in the Bank, you're like, you're like, he's not winning it. They're not going to let him win it. And they would always have him go out in just these ridiculous ways.
Yeah, it would. Facts. And like, I feel like they used him kind of like they do with Kofi, like have him do some like beautiful spot, but never get rewarded for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Doing these like jump from top, like doing all kinds of crazy stuff. The match he had with Shawn Michaels was a classic.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's like he wasn't at the like he was just like creeping up to be Intercontinental level. Like he was never the guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Like he was mostly a tag team. Yeah. Charlie Haas.
And he honestly might be the like just straight athleticism goes, might have been the most athletic guy in WWE. And they just never gave it to him. There's like,
I agree, man. I agree. I keep saying, well, I'm hoping that they do. He didn't even need to win. I just want to get a moment. Like obviously Gunther's the Intercontinental Champion right now, right? So anybody he goes up against looks better. They get a lot of shine. They need to have Shelton Benjamin like it's his last match. He just says like, hey, this is my last chance. I want to get gold before I leave. And he goes up against Gunther at like a pay-per-view. Bro, that crowd would be crazy. They would just be rooting for him just no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Just out of just respect and how long he's been doing it. Bro, you can get so much love from him from that. You can get weeks of content from that. And I just hope they do that to like give him, he deserves it. Like dude's going to be a Hall of Famer. You know, so yeah, he's just been hold so long. It's tough.
Shelton Benjamin is one of the few wrestlers I met in person, and that is a large man.
Yeah, jacked.
Like, he doesn't look that big on TV because he's, you know, everybody is huge, but like in person, he is huge.
Yeah, jacked.
And I realized I met Triple H that same day, and I was like, that's why you don't look that big, because Triple H is just
he built like a triangle.
Yeah.
You seen those like how to draw superhero books where it's like you start out the triangle,
bro.
They ended it right there when Triple H was made. They're like, all right, that's it. Put some legs and arms on it.
Wide back.
Laying a plane on his traps.
Like Triple H, he's shoulders for days. Goodness.
That's funny.
So my number 3. Tajiri.
Bro, literally was on my list. My honorable mentions. I love Tajiri.
Tajiri was so great. Tajiri was so talented. And Tajiri, I think because he was Tajiri, he never got very far.
Yeah.
But Tajiri may have been doing like regular shit in other places, but here, like the shit he was doing was off the wall to me. I was like, I've never seen anyone like this. Like I had never seen The Mist before.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I don't understand how what
perplexed me when he was just throwing it out there.
Yeah, when I was young, I was like, how the fuck did he do that? His in-ring gear, like them pants with the flames, like bro, I needed that.
Yeah.
I like
baggy wide leg.
Because that was at a time period where like that was my aesthetic. Like I was like, I need those fucking pants right now. I need them. And I feel like if he had been in more pay-per-views, he would have been able to like change the levels of opportunity he had with, because I was out here like, let me design his pay-per-view.
Right.
Like I got it. Yeah, that buzzsaw kick is one of my favorite moves.
Ooh.
He was fucking people up with it.
His strikes were his strikes are what, I mean, you guys not know, Asuka is the current wrestler. They're like, she's the greatest striker, blah, blah, blah. Like, all of them look like they don't hurt. But Tajiri was hitting you. It was like, you heard, it was a pop when he hit you. He didn't slap his leg either.
Yeah, like, you felt that.
And what I love about Tajiri is so underrated. His character work. Like, obviously, he was great in the ring. When he got with William Regal, amazing.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I think his character work was really underrated, because I remember the conversations backstage he was having. I was like, this is hilarious.
Hilarious. Like, and I think that's what kept him around so long, is because, like, there was other guys who were good in the ring, just couldn't stick around. But every time they put him with somebody like backstage for an interview or just segments, it was hilarious.
It was hilarious. And he had another move called the tarantula.
I was about to bring that up. I loved the tarantula.
I was like, how the fuck did he do that? I don't understand.
Right.
But I love it.
Well, he was rocking the super kick too back when it was like
He was.
no one could have anything related to the
Yep.
Sweet Chin Music.
Yeah,
And they're like, nah, Jerry, let him have it.
like I said,
It's
that
facts.
buzzsaw kick was mean.
Mean.
And yeah, I loved it. Anytime I in the game was building like a martial arts type, like
yeah.
a lot of Tajiri's moves ended up
No,
in
he's a
there.
template. Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
template for sure.
Love Tajiri.
Tajiri, shout out to him. Number 2 for me, my boy, Booker T. One of the more underrated guys ever.
King Booker.
Like, he just doesn't get the love he should.
And I don't understand it.
I don't understand it. Like, in the ring, amazing. We all know what he does. Entertainment factor, we all know what it is. Like, dude was one of the more entertaining guys we've ever seen. One of the greatest transitions from WCW to WWE ever. Like, that just...
I'd argue the best.
Yeah,
like,
probably the best. Like
you could argue that Goldberg's was really good, but I'd argue Booker T's was the best.
I agree. Like, because it was day one. He was already the WCW champ. He came over during the
By
invasion.
time.
Yeah, he got to go up against The Rock off the rip. You know what I mean? So he got to get that rub immediately. He was built for it, bro. He was built for a bigger stage with the Spinneroonie, with all the stuff.
His shit with Stone Cold was great. His shit with Goldberg was great. His shit with Rikishi was great. Like he didn't really miss.
He didn't miss at all.
At all, bro. Changed to King Booker later on.
Like,
still
every phase of Booker T was so like King Booker. Even aside from Sharmell being annoying, King Booker was flawless.
Flawless, bro.
Even when he was commentating.
Yes,
bro. He does it now. Bro, hilarious.
Yeah, Booker T. Oh, I love Booker T. And Booker T, I know that we talked about Shelton Benjamin earlier, but Booker T is one of the most athletic athletes.
Oh, yeah.
That I've seen in the
ring.
The Rock said. Have you ever tried to do the scissor kick?
Oh, bro,
it is.
I don't think I have the vertical for it. I don't have the vertical for it. Like I have tried it, and I think that if I could be in the air long enough, I could get my foot high enough. But
I'd kill somebody because I would come down too hard and
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it well,
or safely or any of that.
But yeah, like and that's the thing. Like it's really impressive.
Yeah,
because there was one time he did it in like slacks.
Yeah,
like a dress shirt with a chain on.
Yeah, bro.
And it looked so good.
Yeah,
and I was really like, I would have torn those slacks.
Yeah, and honestly, he looks like he can go today too.
Bro, he's outstanding shape. Outstanding. That's why he can show up for Royal Rumbles and all. He still wrestles every now and again because he has his own like promotion, so he still wrestles every now and again. But yeah, Booker, one of the goats. Roy, what you got for number 2?
Number 2, I got Mark Henry.
Go on.
Okay. I feel like Mark Henry's been there or was there for so long and just dominated.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime you think of like, even in his classification, like, top 5 big man, I feel like he's never talked about.
No,
I don't know why. I mean, that literally was one of the world's strongest men, I think like 2 or 3 years, like actually world's strongest men. And they just used him as, just a big obstacle.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, his best moment was at the end when he did like the House of Pain.
Yeah.
And he had has 3 6 Mafia perform.
Yes.
Like live.
That song was
somebody gonna get their ass kicked.
What?
Yeah. Fire, bro. But yeah, that whole run, the House of Pain run he legit was a monster. He was scary.
I will say I wasn't a big he needed to workshop a finisher.
What? I love the finisher.
The world's strongest slam. I think we need to workshop that a little bit.
That's fair. That's fair. But I mean, also at his size, like what else? What is he going to do?
Well,
he's not going to do a 619.
I don't. Oh God. Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean, it just looked good. Most people do they do the Samoa Slam or whatever, but it just that one looked good. But nah, really good pick. The House of Pain run was
Well, and he
highly
could do it
underrated.
to literally anyone.
Anybody.
Yes.
That's a great thing. He can make Big Show look,
Tiny.
beatable. You know what I'm saying? So,
He like World's Strongest Man. He was
literally.
strong as fuck.
Exactly.
He literally has a title for the world's strongest man in like what I can't remember what year it was. So
Yeah.
he could just pick a Big
97
Show,
maybe.
something like that.
Yeah.
Just pick a Big Show and like Big Show's like I'm very comfortable right here.
Right.
And just
Exactly.
drop him.
Like a baby. Like a baby. All right. Spencer, you're number 2.
We've already talked about this person.
Mhm.
My number 2 is Kane.
Hey, nice.
Much like Roy said, Kane was, I guess, overshadowed by The Undertaker
Yeah.
because they were compared to each other,
Mhm.
as opposed to Kane being able to be his own man outside of
Agreed.
his connection to The Undertaker and his comparison to The Undertaker. So Kane, I feel like he wasn't given his due. And unfortunately, it's because The Undertaker was there. And
Yes.
Yeah.
as we know,
It's-
the GOAT.
Right.
I love The Undertaker. And yeah, The Undertaker, like, this may not be a fair comparison, but it's kind of like going back to the NBA comparisons. Kind of like, because Michael Jordan was there, Clyde Drexler, who was very good.
Yeah.
Nobody talked about Clyde.
No, that's facts. That's
Like
facts.
Clyde, it just, sorry, Clyde.
Yeah. No, that's facts.
Like, you're very talented, you're very good, but like in the shooting guard conversation, nobody's
Yeah.
talking about you, buddy.
Yeah, you're not the best at your position. It's kind of tough to talk about you when you're not the best at your.
And like, get to the point where, because you know how there'd always be like for example, Charles Barkley and Karl Malone were always like in debates, and people would talk about both of them.
Right.
No, Clyde was number 2, but
was a gap.
nobody, like there was no discussion about
Right.
Clyde. Like, I feel like every other position there were, like, Patrick Ewing and David Robinson were talked about together.
Yeah.
No, it was Michael Jordan. The end.
Yeah. Kane, and there was a gap there. I mean, Taker was like one of the best when he walked in. He was going up against Hulk Hogan, like, a couple years in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And Undertaker, he had time on his side. He had been doing it forever. And honestly, I think that The Undertaker being there allowed Kane to get where he did get. But once, like, Kane wasn't able, I feel like The Undertaker being there didn't allow Kane to spread his wings through no fault of Kane.
Yeah, I'll say there's nothing that he could have done about it. Like, they were the same build, the same character almost. Like, it was just unfortunate that Undertaker was there.
Yeah, The Undertaker was the template that was used for Kane. And unfortunately, Kane kind of got hoed because of it in the long run.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, because Kane had Undertaker potential, because as we know, again, the GOAT.
Yeah.
Kane could have, like, Kane had that opportunity. Like, Kane could have been that. Kane could have reached that.
This could be a hot take. I think Kane potentially could have surpassed it. Just
That's
given
what I'm saying. Like Kane, like it was, had things been a little different, like it could have been there for him.
Yeah.
I think that Kane was not quite as creative in the ring, but other than that, like, Kane had all the pieces, and he just wasn't it wasn't given to him. Like, he wasn't able to.
He didn't have luck on his side, is all it was. He just fell to an unfortunate spot.
Yeah. And so Kane is, even though Kane is, relatively popular and, he did end up doing well and all that, like, Kane could have easily been at that GOAT level, but the circumstances didn't let him. And so Kane is very underrated, even though he had a successful career and all that.
Yes.
Like underrated regardless. Like, because the level to which he could have ascended was unfathomable.
No, that's true. I wonder how many times did Kane have the championship?
I don't know, but if he did have it, it was never
7?
long enough.
He had quite a bit, didn't he?
I feel like Kane is more known as a tag team champion.
It says 3 times
Okay, yeah.
world champion, but okay.
Yeah, 12-time world tag team.
Yeah, I feel like his tag team championship game is high.
That's true, because he had Daniel Bryan,
Him with the Big Show.
Hurricane. He had Big Show,
the GOAT, of course.
Yeah,
the GOAT, exactly. Not my GOAT, but yeah, you get it. I get what you're saying. Okay.
And I mean, even you throw in like corporate Kane, like wasn't doing it in wrestling, but like still.
Oh yeah,
great.
He got to show off his like mic skills more. That's then too.
Yeah, now he's a mayor.
Exactly. He'd be saying some wild shit, but
yeah.
It is what it is.
Imagine going to your city council to complain about potholes, and Glenn Jacobs is sitting on the other side of the desk. You know what? Actually, I'll drive around that pothole.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be distracted the whole time. All right, my number 1, most underrated, is Scott Hall. Scott Hall was one of the first like big men I had seen outside of Taker that like could actually wrestle. You know what I'm saying? Could like literally put on a show. Like his ladder match with Shawn Michaels was one of the best all time. It was like the first ladder match. And like, he was obviously a part of the Outsiders with what's my name? Kevin? Why am I forgetting his name?
Kevin Nash.
Kevin Nash. Why am I forgetting his name? But like Kevin Nash was not a good wrestler. Like he was big, he was stiff. But
Kevin Nash was just like tall and good looking.
Exactly. He looked the part, right? Exactly. And it was just glaring when you watched Outsiders match. Kevin Nash is doing his like very one level thing, and then he tags in Scott Hall. Scott Hall's 6'7". I forgot how tall he was. He was tall though.
He's 6'7", I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, 6'7", and like moving agile, smooth. Everything was technical. Everything looked really good. And then he still had the character stuff. He still had the toothpick. You know what I mean? And yeah, he was the bad guy, as he called himself. So Scott Hall, and his finisher was dope. The what did he call it? But basically like the crucifix kind of powerbomb type of thing. That was always really cool to watch. Damian Priest does it now, and it's really cool. And yeah, Scott was just one of the best, man. One of the best, especially for a big guy.
The Razor's Edge?
Razor's Edge, yeah. That's what they called it, especially in it's Razor Ramon days.
Yeah.
Razor Ramon.
It didn't occur to me how big he was because he was always with Kevin Nash.
Yeah, being next to Kevin Nash when you're big, hard tell.
But he was 6'7".
Yeah, bro.
It did not occur to me that he was 6'7" because Kevin Nash was 6'10".
Yeah.
And so like I didn't realize, but yeah, with other people, I was like, oh my God, Scott Hall's huge.
Yeah, big. And I mean, he was usually, and especially during that, that time, like he was wrestling big guys. I mean, every now and again, he is at the IC title, he'd go against like Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels, but for the most part, it was like some big ass guy. But yeah, Scott he had swag. His gear was dope. His little jacket with the little flames was fire. Yeah, man.
Yeah, he was just cool.
Yeah, he was just cool. Dude has swag. He was one of the white dudes that has swag. You know what I'm saying? Him and Kevin Nash. Yeah. People loved him. But yeah, the bad guy. Shout out to him. Scott Hall, my number 1. Roy, who's your number 1? You said you had a definitive number 1. So
definitive number 1. I've thought about this for years. I feel like William Regal gets no love.
Man, he almost made my list, bro. I love him.
No love. He's number 1 for sure. I mean, he's been there ever. I mean, I think he's still part of WWE, is he not?
Yeah, he came back. Yep, he works. He's been a key part of NXT and its growth.
And I mean, look at how NXT is going. Like NXT now is, it already was like the feeder program, but now it's like
Right.
you make your name in NXT, you're almost guaranteed to go. Where like people making their name in NXT back in, the start of it, and it didn't necessarily translate well to the WWE.
Exactly.
Where now I think because of William Regal, because of like Booker T on there and Triple H pushing everything, I think it helped him so much. But when you think of like your Mount Rushmore, or just not even that, like just top 10, top 15, William Regal's never even thought about.
Fact. I mean, low key, William Regal could have made our bracket. Low key, like,
Yeah,
he could have been top 20. You know what I'm saying? If we did top 20, he could have made that easily. Just his in-ring work was fire, and then like his character work was fire. The stuff he did with Tajiri, the stuff he did with Stone Cold, the stuff he did with plenty of other people was just really good, man.
and you slap on the bot and you're fighting him in 2K. There's no guarantee you're winning that match.
Right.
Like you could be
Yeah.
on easy and he could still piece you up, and you're like, oh, he's at 82.
Yeah,
But the computer knew. Like he just, I feel like he
facts.
just gets no respect.
No, I agree, man. Dude was a wizard in the ring. He actually has a son. His son, I think it's Charles Dempsey, I think, is in NXT right now. Bro, literally carbon copy. Just a little more athletic looking. Literally beats you up, grabs a limb, beats it up, for 20 minutes, and then hits you with a submission. So,
I think that's what it was. Is he never looked great. Like he was always just not like, I mean, obviously in real life standards he looked great, but like he was just a little bit unathletic looking at the time to where everyone else was. That he just never got the push he deserved.
it's funny because like he's a good looking guy. Like even when you see him now, like if you Google William Regal now, he's a good looking guy. I think he got to WWE a little late. Like he was a little older, so he was kind of like, obviously his physique was on the way down. But like, because like his WCW days, dude is like yoked. But
I know William Regal as mostly the commissioner.
yeah, exactly.
Like that's my William Regal, and then he's the reason I know what brass knuckles are.
Yeah. But because he came over a little late, had a couple of years where he got to like really flex and got to with his IC titles, the European title. He had a classic match. I think it was against Chris Jericho at a WrestleMania, which was really good. I think it was WrestleMania 17 or so. But then he transitioned to commissioner, had the little stuff with Tajiri. It was just, but William Regal, man, one of the best. Like literally one of the best.
And I feel like every time people talk, like when they just actually break it down, they forget how good he was. Yep. Which is why I think he fits so perfectly in this category.
No, he does. I mean, dude is extremely underrated. And like you said, like dude has had a huge impact outside of the ring. Like, and so William Regal, one of the
he was the big reason why I watched a little bit of he's the reason I got into NXT, I should say, because like just hearing him like yell war games, juiced me up,
bro. Your blood start boiling.
Yeah, like, I'm ready for this.
Yeah, you ready to run into a wall. Okay, William, good pick. Spencer, you guys, your number one.
My number one, and I have talked about this person in a different top five.
Okay.
Billy Kidman.
Oh, okay.
Like whenever you told me this was the top five we're doing, I immediately knew that Billy Kidman, because people haven't heard of Billy Kidman.
Yeah.
I'm like, why not?
Right.
Like, Billy Kidman, and I don't know necessarily how long he wrestled, but Billy Kidman was great, very entertaining to watch. He was smaller, and so he was usually up against people who were smaller, and those matches were incredibly entertaining.
Yeah. Billy Kidman, he was in that golden era of cruiserweight wrestling.
Yeah, and it was really good and fun and entertaining to watch, and I really enjoyed watching Billy Kidman. And the fact that there's so many people who have no idea who he is, the fact that he's just not discussed ever,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very underrated to me.
My man was going out there in a white, well, in a tank top. I was going to say something crazy. A tank top and some jorts, and was
Yep.
going out there giving people work, right?
Yep. Yes. That is exactly, yeah, that's what he did.
And
Some
like,
cut off jean shorts.
yeah, bro, like, and some boots.
Yep.
And my man, good, but like, bro, he was holding, like, he was defending the title, the cruiserweight title, when it was like, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Juventud Guerrero, like, dudes was like
Ultimo Dragon, I think, was still there.
Yeah, like that was a title everybody wanted in that division. And yeah, dude held it down. And he had one of the greatest finishers of all times as far as like top rope finishers. Yeah, Billy Kim he really is underrated. Really, really wasn't taken advantage of when he came to WWE either.
Yeah.
But no, that's a good pick. It's a good one.
I'm ashamed to know that I first heard about him because he was married to Tori Wilson, and Tori Wilson was one of my at the time my go-to divas, because when you're creating a character in 2K, you always have to have the video program. It's got to be one of the divas. Like it's either Stacey Keibler. Mine is always Tori Wilson.
Nice. Tori Wilson's really good too.
Yeah.
Good pick. I forgot they went together.
Yeah, they were married for like 5 years.
Yeah,
that's right. I forgot about that. Shout out to that's a win. It's a win for Billy Kidman.
That is a win for Billy Kidman.
It was.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, you got 5 years. You got 5 years.
Hey,
that's give you credit for that.
5 years better than most.
Yes, all right, that's longer than any of us were with Tori Wilson. So.
Exactly. Yeah, I've never met them. Yeah, exactly.
Don't count me out yet, Spencer.
No, do a lifetime. Some of my honorable mentions. Some of the guys you guys touched on. Ted DiBiase. I think Jake Roberts is one of the more underrated of all time. Great on the mic. Was the originator of the making the DDT look like a real finisher. Dean Malenko, love Dean Malenko. He just didn't have the character work, and he was kind of surrounded by dudes just way more charisma than him, but he was a really good wrestler. Rob Van Dam is on my honorable mention just because, he should have just got way more love.
RVD was almost my number one.
Yeah, and he should have got more love from WWE. Not necessarily fans loved him, but
yeah,
WWE just didn't give him the push he deserved.
I think for me, it kind of falls into what Spencer's saying is I was so in love with RVD that I had no idea that other people didn't quite care about him. I'm how could you not?
Right. I'm the same way, bro. We talked about it on that one podcast. I would they do little promos for the match at the end of the night, the main event. I'd be like, yo, what color gear is he wearing? What is this? What design is he gonna have on it?
My guys' onesies were fire.
Fire, man. I'd be like, the one with the raptor on it. I was like, oh my god. But yeah,
I guess the reason I didn't put him number one is because they did pair him with Paul Heyman.
Right, yeah.
And so, in my opinion, he did not get where he should have. He should have made it to top guy. And I feel like what happened with RVD and what happened with Brock Lesnar were so drastically different as far as outcome. And that's why he was originally my number one.
Yeah.
But because they gave him Paul Heyman, I was like, you know what? I don't know. I personally, he's underrated, but I think that he's not quite as underrated as the other people I chose, because people do know about him, and he did kind of get pushed because they did give him Paul Heyman.
Facts. And I mean, he was a fan favorite. Some of these guys weren't necessarily fan favorites. They were just, we loved him, and so we put him on here. But yeah, he definitely was a real wrestling fan. They fuck with.
Yeah, we all loved RVD. Regardless of how Vince felt, we loved RVD.
Yeah, dude was amazing. I loved him since his ECW days, and then when he came over, I was like, yes, he's gonna fit right in. So yeah, his matches with like Jeff Hardy and stuff, amazing. But yeah, those are like my honorable mentions. Did y'all have any honorables?
I had one Montel Vontavious Porter, otherwise
Hey,
known as MVP, on
that's
my.
good. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I really don't like. I was there for it, but I don't have vivid memories of him in the ring. I just know him as a mouthpiece.
He was pretty good. He did
He's good.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
the ball and
ballin'. I will say I hated his entrance. Like I didn't think the song was good. I thought that like his little tunnel he had, like the inflatable tunnel, was cool. It could have been done differently.
Yeah.
Honestly, what I think ruined him was having the overdrive as a finisher, because it's just I mean, people just don't like that as a finisher.
It is trash. Not gonna lie to you. It looks very like old school WCW type of finish.
It doesn't look like it hurt anyone. Like you literally just like you. It looks like it hurts you more than anyone. And I think that's what fans knew, and people were just like, eh. But I mean, he could talk, he could go, and people liked him. But like they couldn't get past that. Like everything that looks kind of soft.
Yeah, and it was a weird time. He was trying to sell like the pro athlete type of thing, and I don't know. I mean, he had some great rivalries with Matt Hardy.
Honestly, stuff with Cena was pretty good with the United States champion.
Yep. He was like one of the staples of the U.S. title. You know what I'm saying? He made it look really good, and he was really good on the the undercard. But no, MVP is a good one, and like what he's done outside the ring has been great. Like his character work kind of is the same thing. But no, MVP is a good one. MVP is a really good one. Yeah, his music was trash though.
Yeah, 1, 2, hear the clock tick. I'm like tick tock. I'm like, we gotta stop this.
Yeah, that was garbage.
I'm coming.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
I had a few honorable mentions. I had Ken Shamrock as one of my honorable mentions.
Oh, okay.
I don't have like the most vivid memories of Ken Shamrock, but I remember thinking like, oh, that's a crazy man in there.
Yeah.
He's gonna hurt that. He's gonna hurt that guy.
When I think of Ken Shamrock, I think of when The Rock hit him directly in his forehead with the chair. He was on his knees. I was like, bro, you wild. But Ken Shamrock, being the tough guy, was just like, hit me. Like,
he took it.
He's like, I got CTE already from fighting, so I don't care.
Yeah, not worried about it. It's just,
I'll be all right.
It's just another Monday for me.
Yeah.
I remember really liking Steve Blackman.
I remember we talked about Steve Blackman.
Yeah, I love Steve Blackman. And he was underrated just because like people don't talk about Steve Blackman.
Yeah.
But I was like,
Steve Blackman is like, if we're talking about like real ones in the locker room, like dudes you just don't play with.
Yeah. He's the guy you don't want those problems.
Yeah.
In real life. Like that man is a weapon.
Yeah. I remember when it was him and Al Snow, they were the cheeseheads. Bro, that stuff was hilarious. Al Snow. But yeah. And he's good.
And I definitely had Goldust as an honorable mention as well.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Honestly, that entrance alone.
Yeah.
With the camera work that they did for him. And, all that.
Yeah. That was really good. Another person that almost had on my list, Mr.
Kennedy. You gotta wait for it. I wanted to hate him.
But I did too. I wanted to hate him so much, and I was like, I can't. He's
he stands there, and the light comes on. He just raises that hand. That mic drops,
and the mic drops. I was like, he's the only.
Fire.
I was like, they put a mic up there just for him. He's the only guy who's got. Yeah.
Bro, that dude sitting up there all night long, like, God damn, what is this?
He's got a fishing pole with the mic on the end. It's like, come on.
Bro, like, he reminds me low-key of, like, LA Knight. What LA Knight is doing now as far as, like, not, like, naturally getting over with the crowd just off of just his mouthpiece, just off of, you know what I mean?
I agree. I think that when I first heard about LA Knight, I thought of, like, a The Rock, Mr. Kennedy combo.
Right, yeah. Like, just got the phrase, got the catchy phrase to get you in, and then from there it shows the talent from there. But yeah, the Mr. Kennedy, like, dude was fired. Like, it's sad that like saying your name gets you over, but it was fire.
He even transitioned into was he in TNA when he when he went to Mr. Anderson? It was still like
it's still fire.
It's still good. Yeah, I was like, this is still good.
Yeah, bro, they played him like he should have. I remember it was one year he should have won Money in the Bank. Like they played him, man. They played him. But no, he was really good. But yeah, that was one of the first people I thought of. But I was like, he had a short run, and some other guys. When you mention Mr. Kennedy, everybody does his thing. Like everybody just breaks out in unison, Mr. Like,
it's so good.
It's just fun to do, bro. It's just literally fun to do. But some of these other guys, they don't have like a catchy thing like that. Some of them. But all right, guys, it was fun. The bracket was, intense and competitive, but we got through it. I mean, we kind of knew who the winner was. It was kind of like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, the top team, we knew who the top team was, but, we need to see who they were going to go up against.
And I was surprised.
Two outcomes that I was surprised by.
Like, I absolutely knew in my heart it was going to be Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit.
Yeah, no facts.
And it wasn't.
No, I mean, I think you laying out the thought process before, that kind of helped.
Yeah. I had a few that I was struggling back and forth on. I mean, honestly, it was the CM Punk one. I was like, not a chance. And then I started thinking about you got to give him his roses.
No, yeah. I probably would have went CM Punk there, but I mean, either way, you would have lost. I would have had him losing to Taker. So, but now some good ones, and shout out Seth Rollins, man. Put in that work, got to the finals. But yeah, that was fun. And then obviously top 5 most underrated. We'll do an overrated. Have we done an overrated? I can't remember.
Yeah, we did.
We did. Okay. But yeah, we'll continue with the top 5s. And
no, we did overrated moves.
Finish.
You did overrated.
I think that was last week.
I think it was in the last episode,
right.
Or maybe 2 episodes ago.
That's right. You're right. Because I thought of this due to doing that. You're right. And me and Spencer did overrated finishers.
Yeah, we did overrated finishers.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I remember in the overrated list, when Orange Cassidy showed up, you were like, what?
Yeah. Patrick wilding, bro. That dude has always had the wildest takes. And you just can't get over the Orange Cassidy is just one of the best characters out there. Suspension of disbelief. You got to go in there with that, but puts on fire matches. But it was a good one. I appreciate y'all coming on, Spencer and Roy helping me out. I appreciate everybody listening. Again, you can find us on all the socials. I can do Jordan's whole spiel at the LMG podcast on Twitter, Facebook. You can hit us up on the group chat, the League of Melanated Gentlemen podcast. But hit us up there if you got any questions or any input on what you thought the bracket should have won, or if you have any ways you would have had it, play out, any upsets you might have had. And then also, if you got top 5, hit me up. Let me know. I want all the smoke. So, fellas, I appreciate y'all coming on.
Thank you for having us.
It was an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely. All right. Till next time, guys. We out. Yeah.